This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Phil Porto, aka Phil All Caps, back with another episode of the Knicks Nightcap here on the Nick of Time Show channel. And like always, I will be joined by one of the best to do it in the game, my co-host, Mr. Apollo Reed. We got a lot of things to talk about. I see my guy Prezzi's already in the building. Appreciate you so much. And we're going to get right into it. I'm going to bring up Apollo because we got a big day. We get to chop it up with my man Skyzoo, and we will be chopping it up about the Knicks, but also looking at some of the songs off his current release that just dropped, as well as talking with 15 Stars Ricky Johnson about some of their whiskey and their sister brand First West. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring up Apollo Reed, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Me and Apollo were talking in the background and we're exhausted. So we need some like energy from the crowd. We need y'all in the chat to chop it up with us. We need those that are watching that want to come up on the open panel to know that it is an open door policy today. We talk about a topic. We want you to feel like you can come on up and discuss it whenever you want. So without further ado, here's my guy, Mr. Apollo Reed.
Yo, what's going on, man? What's going on, bro?
Chilling. How you doing?
How you doing? I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm here. You know, it's just like you said, it's rough, but we're making it. We're making it.
Yep. And so Apollo knows this, but if I disappear or go into the Matrix in the first few minutes of the show, I apologize. My boys have been waiting all day to play Fortnite with their uncle. And of course, my brother gets home right at like 7:50, right when the show is about to start. So if they tie up the Fortnite and kick me off, Apollo's going to hold it down for a few minutes as I go grab my wife and have her kick them off Fortnite. So appreciate you all for being gracious. But let's talk real quick, Apollo, because it's been, a busy week. And the first thing I want to give a shout out to is our man, Captain Clutch himself, for dropping his Kobe 6 protos. These things are insane. Statue of Liberty tribute. And they're actually, what I was told, is the smallest release of Kobe 6s that have hit the market. I think there was only like 960 of them between, sneaker app and also a few other outlets. And so those things have been going like hotcakes. So shout out to everybody who was able to pick up a pair. Unfortunately, I was not one of those, but I would definitely rock these because these things are freaking fire. And it's cool to see Captain Clutch getting some of the recognition he deserves. Like you don't get to drop. And here's the thing. You have so many people that like aren't willing to put Jalen Brunson in the category of superstar. Like, I understand you might not think he's a generational like player or that he's not, megastar or whatever, but you don't get the option of coming out with a pair of Kobe 6s when you're not on at least the superstar style level. You don't see, just average all-stars getting that kind of privilege with Nike. So that to me kind of shuts down that whole argument. So those are fire though. Like, I love those. Those are so sick. I love seeing him represent the city. And also those would go so dope with a Liberty jersey.
They would. You saw he actually gave the entire Villanova women's basketball team.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he gifted them all of them a pair of them.
That's awesome. I saw that Josh Hart had posted, that he left a pair in front of Josh's locker or something like that before one of the games. And Josh was like, "Thanks, Jalen." I don't know if that was planned or not, but either way, it's cool to see him be able to do stuff like that. But
probably got everybody a pair.
What happened?
Probably got everybody a pair in there.
Yeah, the whole Knicks team probably has a pair of those things. But either way, pretty cool to see him, being able to celebrate how he wasn't even considered by certain announcers a player that could run a team, and now he's getting the recognition that he deserves all across the league.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to do this right here. I want to give a shout out to my guy, the Brooklyn Dreamer. You guys saw me wear his Captain Clutch, Superman, superhero kind of shirt. I think it was a week or two ago. But he also sent me this right here, which is this hat right here, which is this Mickey Jalen Brunson, 3. I'm a huge Disney guy. Like me and my family, we really, really love Disney. I actually used to have an Instagram account called Disney Dad Swag, and it was all about like the actual gear that you can wear as a dad and look fresh and not just complain about how you spend money at Disney, but actually like make it dope. So shout out to him. Shout out to New York or Nowhere for this jacket. Appreciate you guys. Always loving and supporting what we're doing here at the Nightcap. But let's get right into it, Apollo.
Mhm.
We are in the last 9 games, we are 8-1. And I know it's not like we've played the Goliaths of the league, in our schedule. We were talking about it in the space earlier. I think OKC and the Knicks have had 2 of the easiest schedules to start the season. But still, going 8-1 out of the last 9 games. How are you feeling going into the month of December?
Man, I think it's good for us to get some continuity together, you know what I mean, and just to get some chemistry. There's, we're not playing perfect, you know what I mean. We're there. We're getting really close, though. We're getting really close. I think that this team has taken strides in a lot of right ways. Guys getting in and out of the lineup, OG in and now Deuce, but they're still keeping up. What the chemistry that these guys have, and Macau's been great. OG's been looking really good since he's been back. He struggled a little bit, I believe, the last game, but it's that's a given. But these guys are starting to get together and getting some chemistry a little bit more. So it's good to
Yeah.
see. Right
Yeah.
time.
It's crazy because if you think of the short period of time that we've had, we've had games where Mitch wasn't with us.
Mhm.
We've had games where OG hasn't been with us, and we have games where even now Shamit still injured.
Right.
Now Miles McBride, which we'll talk about a little more, but now he's injured. That's a lot to deal with in a short period of time. Oh, and Josh Hart. We can't
Yeah.
forget the back spasms. In the
Mhm.
start of the season that kept him from even being part of the starting lineup to start the season.
Right.
So we've kind of dealt with a lot of injury already this season. But I think that what we're seeing is that the team has potential. The team, I don't know if we've exceeded what our summer expectations were on paper for a lot of us as fans, but I feel like we've been able to see that this team has potential. And that's something that we celebrate, but also that can get very, very frustrating when we know the potential and what the ceiling of this team can be, and that we
Mhm.
don't see it night in and night out. And so, one night that we did for sure see it, over this past few days since we've chatted last, was that Utah Jazz game. And we don't really need to talk much about that because that was like
Yeah.
just abuse, like
Yeah. It was bad.
besides, yeah, besides marketing, like that team doesn't really have anything worth
Mhm.
talking about with Kessler gone. There's not really much there. Laurie Markkinen is still an incredible player that if he ever came over to New York, I wouldn't be pissed off about it.
Nope.
But let's talk about the games that mattered. And so first, we're going to talk about the Orlando Magic game. When we went up against them, we beat them 106-100 against them. And let's start there. What were your initial eye test thoughts for that game?
Initially, it was a tough game, but I liked how they played uh late in that game. I think that they closed the game out a lot better than I thought they would. Of course, they didn't have France. That's something that they're gonna, you know, they're definitely going to use against us even if we win on Saturday.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, "Oh yeah, France wasn't there." Like we spoke about that. But I think they did what they were supposed to do. They handled business. It was good to see OG come back and be a real big part of that game. OG really he showed out that game, and then Desmond Bain throwing the ball at him. That was another part of that was kind of silly. But you know, it's good whenever we get a win versus that team because I know that.
Sorry, I had to as soon as you said it. I had to put it up. Yeah, I made it because I was bored, you know?
I forgot what I was about to say. Anyway, it was good to see OG come in there and do his thing that game. But whenever we beat the Magic, it's always a good feeling. You know, it's always gonna be a tough game. But they fought through and they did what they're supposed to do that game.
Yeah. You know, that's one of those games that it was a little frustrating. First, unfortunately, you know, like I'm never the kind of guy that gets excited when a player gets injured. When I see stuff like that online, I'm like, yo, that's just weird. You know, like it's weird that you're celebrating someone's career, someone's like lifestyle, someone's way of providing for their family. And you're like, oh, yeah, you know, haha, you know, injured.
Yeah.
Like, no, first,
Thank
Hukporty made a
you. I'm like,
really
whoa, yeah.
yeah. And Hukporty, like straight up, I don't care what anyone says, he made a really stupid play on that. You know, there was no actual way that he was going to stop him on that play, and it was just a weird, you know, like way of him playing defense that caused part of the injury.
And when he did that though, he did take, you know, responsibility for it. You saw what's his name? Suggs was giving him like, you know, patting him on the back, like because you know he clearly felt bad about what he did. So, you know, he knows that it was a bad play. It was a terrible play.
Exactly. And so, you know, like that was unfortunate, you know, so I hope he gets better. Like anytime I see a player that is actually proving himself on the court, like I never want that to be the reason that he or the team don't get to where they think they're going to go. You know, just like I didn't like it when we didn't get to different places in our Nick fandom because of injuries. Like I don't like it for us, I don't like it for anybody. But one thing that was weird, I'm gonna like sidetrack a minute. Watching that Orlando Magic team with Franz and Banchero like out because of injury actually looks so much better than the Orlando Magic team when Franz is out and Banchero is available, which is crazy to me because Banchero is supposed to be like their star player. Yet they played so much more fluid and so much better dominant basketball when Banchero was out. So I thought that was kind of crazy because I think that actually helped in our advantage with Franz not being there and Banchero being back, you know. But I think that game was kind of weird. We also didn't have Cat that night, so, you know, kind of balance things out a little bit. But the thing that was unfortunate to me was that McBride got hurt that game. Like McBride was seriously on a tear. Like his 3-point percentage and the way that he's been shooting with confidence has been absolutely incredible. So to see that he went down in that game was very, very frustrating and leaves a lot of questions for us going forward. You know, like he's going to be gone for both games of the Cup. You know, they just said it was a left ankle sprain or whatever, and that he won't be reassessed until next week. So we're going to talk about what we think that means for us, but it was hard not having him there. But the thing that I want to point out in that game was that we won that game and Jalen was on the shooting struggle bus. Like he was rough, like really, really rough. 14% from three. Like that's crazy numbers when you talk about Jalen Brunson. Luckily he had 9 assists. But that was rough. So what was your thoughts on Jalen Brunson's performance and just the team's performance as a whole? Was there anyone that stood out to you like, oh, that was a great performance? Because for me, I kind of had a hard time seeing the silver lining of players in that game.
I mean, you got the good and the bad of a lot of guys. You know, unfortunately, like you said, Miles gets hurt that game, but Jalen, of course, it's hard to give him credit every single game because he does what Jalen does. You know what I mean? Like because he is Jalen and he just does Jalen things all the time. Like it's hard to judge him game to game when you look, especially when you look at the stat sheet and he has 30
Yeah.
each game.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of like even when he's struggling, he still has 30. So there was, like you said, he was struggling that game. For me, I'm always, like I said, I'm a big fan of Josh. Josh, he just hustles so much that game, those games. But to me, it's between Josh and OG. You know what I mean? Like I said, I liked how OG played that game. I think he had 21 or something like that
Yep,
game.
21.
So, it was good to see him come back, and that was his second game back. So it was good for him to come back the game before and get his feet under him a little bit. But by that time, by that game, he was ready. I feel like that was something that I think when they said we wanted to come back, he wanted to come back for the Orlando game, but
Yeah.
I think he wanted to get his feet under him first and then go at him, which is what he did. He did pretty well. So like I said, it'll probably be between Josh and OG.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, that's another thing that I go, holy cow. Like, how are you not calling this guy a superstar? Like, even on a game where I'm dissatisfied with like his shot selection and stuff like that, like he still put up 30. Like, you still look at
Right.
the box score and you're like, crap, he got 30? Like, where did that 30 come from?
Mhm.
Like, it shocks you. But I agree with you, like OG being back in the lineup that game, and being able to contribute the way that he did in the 27 minutes that he was out there, like it's good to see him not having to take so much time to get back into rhythm.
Right.
Like that's always the concern with an injury. When you're out for more than a week or two, is like, okay, well, when is that player going to be ready to compete? Like, how long's that going to take?
Right.
And luckily for us, it's not taking long for OG at all. Like, he bounced right back into it.
Mhm.
But like you, I gotta give my flowers to Josh Hart.
Mhm.
Like, it's one of those things where I did not think, based off of how I was seeing him play early in the season, that he should get back into the starting lineup. And I was wrong, like, like that's all I can say. Like, I know a lot of content creators and people that host shows don't want to say those words online because people will clip it for the next like 6 years. But I was wrong,
wrong.
like Josh Hart has proven me wrong. Like, I've always known that he was that Swiss Army knife that we, loved, but I thought that we had moved past where he deserved a starting lineup position. But he has shown that he wants that position, that he's fighting for that position, and his numbers don't lie. From his 3-point percentage to the amount of triple doubles that he's putting up to the amount of rebounds that guy is getting, like, it is insane. It
You can't
allows
take
you
him
to
out.
go,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, we can play small in this situation and Mitchell Robinson can sit because Josh Hart is still getting you 12 rebounds, like,
And he's
that's
shooting the ball. He's shooting
yeah, with confidence too.
with confidence. What's going on here?
Like,
He's
it's
shooting.
crazy. Like, it's just insane to think that Josh Hart got 12 rebounds. Mitchell Robinson played 9 less minutes and got 13. But also look at the size difference of those two. Like, that's one of them's like,
6'4". Yeah,
that's
6'5".
one of the guy's main jobs is like, you go out there and grab boards and deter shooters, Mitch. Like, that's what you do. That's
And he's
just
going
like,
against bigs when he's doing it too. He's not just grabbing rebounds over
yep,
guards.
exactly. A lot of the time he's doing it as the guy that's doing it because
Yeah.
Cat's getting boxed out and he's coming flying in from every single area to catch those, rebounds. So shout out to him. Shout out to Jay Ellis. He said Josh deserves all the props for taking his game up on a higher notch. Facts. He's playing different. Like, he really, really is. Nostalgic Nick said, salute to the panel. He said, what up, Porto? Amazing win. Yes, we're going to talk about that last one. We got Sherwin in the building. He said superstar is handed out too easily. I don't know about that, my guy. Because if it was handed out that easily, there wouldn't be any debates about if he was a superstar or not. He said Giannis, Jokic, SGA, and Wembanyama are superstars. Brunson and the rest are a level below. Okay. I'm not saying that he is on SGA's level, but if you look at their stats, they're not significantly different. And there are more actual, like, I would say, people that shoot first when it comes to the Knicks.
Mhm.
Like OKC is not a everybody shoot first kind of, team. They pass the rock all over the place, and then it typically, SGA is their shoot first kind of guy. So I don't know. We're not going to
I
debate that. I think
I
he's a
always
superstar.
I always there's stars that make the because some guys are just pound for pound amazing players from the moment that they jump in a league, and the guys you've named are mostly outside of Jokic because he was a second round pick as well. Um, Outside of those guys, you know what I mean, like you're talking about guys that are like you know perennial players or like from the moment that they came into the league. So, he's to me, he's always been the kind of Steph Curry trajectory kind of star. Not to say on his level, but
Yeah.
that kind of star. That's not like a pound for pound from the moment he came in, he was just dominating kind of player. Like that's he just didn't have the physical talent like a lot of those guys that you're naming as well. So like that's the kind of star I've always compared him to,
Yep.
not comparing him to, but that's the kind of star he is.
Well, here's the thing. There's a great point from Jay Ellis. Why is Wembanyama crowned a superstar? Like, what has he accomplished yet?
Yeah, no,
Like
he hasn't.
he's a phenomenal athlete. Like he's a great basketball player, but
Mhm.
doesn't superstardom lead to winning? And they're starting to like win now. But Jalen Brunson has been putting on for New York. Like
Mhm.
Jalen Brunson was considered Captain Clutch all last season. Why? Because he could do things that superstars can do. They can help you win games. They can take a team and they can put them on their back when they need it. So yes, Wimby is a phenom. Do I think he's going to be a superstar? Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But to give him that category already and say that Jalen Brunson is not, when Jalen Brunson has taken the Knicks further than Wimby has taken the Spurs, there still needs to be things
Mhm.
to be proven. Like his on-court skills is of a superstar. Okay, why do you think every single announcer and every single coach that we play has talked about how hard it is to guard Jalen Brunson and how incredible his footwork is and
Mhm.
how he always finds a way to score? You don't think that a coach talks about a player like, and it's multiple coaches from the best, like Carlisle to Toronto's coach to even Spo? Like, these are guys that create superstars. And they're in their post games talking about how incredible Jalen Brunson is. That's
Right.
not some kind of star power. Like, I don't get that.
Coach after coach after coach after coach is talking about this guy like he's like I don't know what to do with this guy. Like he's everywhere. He can do this. He can do that. He can take you here. He can take you there. He's hitting shots. It's coaches, and you got coaches glazing like game after game. That's a different level of talent, man. Like,
Yep.
and that's but people don't have those goggles. That's just, it's a different vision.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. So let's move on. All right. So we had that Orlando game. Desmond Bain turned it into, Ben Stiller and I mean, Vince Vaughn in dodgeball and Ben Stiller, throwing the ball back and forth at each other. And so that whole thing, what did you think of that? I thought that was super weird, like because Desmond Bain truly acted like he wasn't doing anything, and like it's just crazy when you have announcers that are like, "I've been in this game announcing for 30 years, and I've never seen a player that is fully inbounds try to throw the ball." And peg it off someone that's already
Mhm.
falling out of bounds. Like that was just a weird play.
Crazy.
Um, yeah. What did you think initially? And then his little comments about beating us in this next game and how important it is to win because he's already been fined $35,000 for that.
I mean, I think it's weird, but if you look at a lot of his recent, actually, if you even go back to Memphis, like
Yep.
he's been doing this kind of stuff. Like this is not a new kind of thing.
Yeah.
He just wasn't in a major market. He played against a major team, like a major market team, and he did it in one of those games. So now everybody sees it. And now all of a sudden you start to see the clips of him doing it to a lot of other people. So like this is like what Desmond Bain does. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird to see. Uh, it's I don't know. It's he's not a tough guy. So it's kind of weird to see him do this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what he got from Dylan Brooks. Like he picked something up from this dude, but he needs to leave it alone because it just doesn't fit his personality at all.
Yeah.
Or
It
his
was it was super weird. Like it really, really was. Like, and if you're gonna go after someone, you're going after someone who's like super passive, but could probably body you real quick if he decides he wants to get angry. You know,
right.
like
Yeah.
like I thought that was super weird. I also thought it was super weird. Like 30 seconds later, OG's like laughing with him. Like that was super odd as well.
Because I guess they're cool, but still, man, like that's
Yeah,
weird.
like that's just crazy. But let's go to the next game after that. All right. So we had that Orlando Magic game. All was good. What is it? Let's see. Where's the game? All right. So then after we beat Orlando, we went on and we played the Raptors. And that to me was a pretty interesting game. A pretty interesting game to watch. We win 117-101. Once again, no RJ Barrett, no Emmanuel quickly this time. Honestly, I'm kind of frustrated because I wanted to see the Knicks and RJ, against one another.
Yeah, yeah.
Now that RJ has kind of gotten into his stride with them and has been like a very proficient scorer for them this past season, and it doesn't seem like we're going to see that, which is kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
But they did have Brandon Ingram, who played a great game of basketball. But Scotty Barnes, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know what we saw that night, but it was not pretty. 33% shooting and 6.7% from three. Like, I remember when so many people were like, let's get rid of RJ and bring Scotty, like before there was like talks of, going for OG, it was get Scotty Barnes.
Mhm.
And so that's crazy to me to see those kind of numbers. What were your initial thoughts on watching that game? And then we'll kind of go down through each player and what we saw.
I mean, like you said, I hate when we also didn't get to see quickly either.
Yep.
So I don't like RJ was my guy when he was here. So I always want to see him do good. He's been doing well over there. So I'm happy for him. It wasn't people were often saying if he wasn't on the Knicks, he wouldn't be averaging this many points. He's just getting the ball a lot, but he's
Yep.
clearly still doing it over there. So he's a pretty good player. He's probably not a star at this point, especially at this point in his career, but I would like to see RJ. You know what I mean? We didn't get to see him, but Scotty Barnes, man, we just kept leaving him open for three. And he made one of them, I think, but he's gonna have to because he's very Giannis like with his game. You know, I've noticed that he plays a lot like a smaller Giannis in a way. He can't really stretch the floor. He might hit one out of every four or five threes or something like that. The last game we played him, he went back to back threes, and I was like, the only reason why you're able to do that is because nobody believes in you and they left you wide open for each one of those things. But at the end of the day, these guys are NBA players, so you got to expect them at some point to hit those shots. But it's part of the game, man. Like if you have a weakness, we're gonna make them take it. It's same thing with Josh. I do respect that he kept taking them. I
Yeah.
give him that, because that was my frustration when Josh was struggling, is that he head faking and he wouldn't even take it, and he's still wide open. And now everybody knows you're not going to take the shot. So what are you going to do now? So that I commend him for continuing to shoot, but it was pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly.
Yeah.
16.7% from three is disgusting, man. That's nasty.
Yeah, I just don't understand, what was going on with them. It was it was really, really rough to watch. 16.7%, 1 for 6. But let's talk about our guys. Like we'll go down the line and we'll talk. To me, this was a Josh Hart clinic. Like Josh Hart played phenomenal this game.
Yeah.
In 36 minutes, 21 points. Unfortunately, 3 turnovers, but that was when they were kind of like trying to speed things up back and forth, and there was like turnover to turnover to turnover. It was just like back and forth, like it was not pretty at all. But besides that, he had 2 steals, 4 assists, 6 rebounds, but also then shot 57% from 3 and 72.7% from the night. What are your thoughts? Like, those are pretty impressive numbers for Josh Hart, especially on the shooting percentages.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I'm glad he's shooting them. You know what I mean? And now you're starting to get confidence. You work on it and you start to see results. And now you don't have a problem taking the shot. And that's where I want you. I don't care how many shots you're hitting. I just want you to feel comfortable enough to make these shots and to comfortably take them. Because like a lot of these plays, they're swinging into Josh, wanting Josh to shoot. And now they're looking for him like, hey, you're the open guy, hit the shot. And he's taking these shots, and the shot is looking really good. Everybody's worried about the finger going to the east side, you know what I'm saying? But he's still he's still hitting them shots, man. So I gotta give him credit. He's really been taking advantage. He's taken advantage of the opportunity so much so that even with OG back, that he's still in the starting lineup. So now Mitch is basically Mitch is going to come off the bench, which if you're going to be playing 16 minutes a game around there, at this point, you just bring him off the bench, because it'll be easier to maintain those minutes for him, and it's easier to have that lineup with Josh out there as well. So he's Josh, man. Like I said, he's my favorite player on this team. Obviously he's not the best player on the team, but he's my favorite player on the team because of just how much he just emulates just the passion of basketball, getting up and down the court. It don't gotta be pretty. I'm grabbing a rebound over big man. That's a pat. That's a pat in the chest. You know what I mean? Like that's what you get there for, to do things that a lot of guys aren't doing. You know what I'm saying? So I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah. Like Prezi said, Hulk smash the like button. Let's run up the subs to 10K before the playoffs. Appreciate you. If you guys can, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. Do us all a favor, retweet this on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, wherever, on Facebook, post this. Let's get more people up in this chat to talk about these amazing New York Knicks that we have. It's kind of funny, bro. As soon as you said his finger going east side, I don't know why, but the Warren G regulator, like east side motel, popped into my mind, and I could not get that song out of my head the whole time you were talking. It was like regulators just going through my mind. I was like, what is happening? Why did that just happen?
I was about to whistle it, but I can't stop laughing.
Oh, man. Funny. All right. So, we're going to get ready in about 6-7 minutes to have our first pours of whiskey and to hear a little bit about this amazing brand known as 15 Stars and their side company, First West. That brand is incredible. If you guys remember, me and Apollo last year, we tapped into the 13-year timeless reserve, which was absolutely incredible. And this year we're going to be going through some amazing bottles as well. But before we do, there's someone that we've been chopping it up with for a while. Me back in the day of the morning brew days. And, when the nightcap first started over there, and then, season after season, we've been connecting. And like he's put out music since then that we've all known and loved. He continues to put out fire music that we know and love. And I'm excited because, it's like 2 years or so in the making. But I know if you guys follow me on my old channel, we said that we were going to do a song 2 years ago. And I actually sent him a beat for the first time about 3 weeks ago. So it might actually happen if I can actually record. So we're going to be bringing up my guy, Skyzoo. He's got a new album. He's a diehard. You guys know him as a diehard Knick fan, but also as one of the best underground MCs, still doing it, keeping it real for New York. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my guy, Skyzoo, so we can talk a little bit more about this last game before we start sipping on some whiskey. So what up?
Yo, peace. How you doing, man?
Yo.
How y'all doing? Bro. What's going on?
What's good, fam? What's good?
Yeah. Let me ask you, is the way I have the camera, is that cool, or do I need to turn it?
I would turn it just because we're about to have 4 on here, and it'll just
Okay.
make it look a little bit easier on the eyes for all the viewers. And
Yep.
when we're
I
cutting,
should have asked that in the beginning. My apologies,
no,
everybody.
you
We're
good,
going to
you good.
get it together and make sure
There we
everything is
go.
right.
You good, you good.
Is that
All right.
feel like that might be something? Yeah.
Yeah. So what's been up, bro, since the last time we connected?
Cooler, man. Everything's good. Good to be here, man. Appreciate y'all having me on. You know what I mean? Appreciate being back in the building with y'all. It's a new season,
Yes,
new
sir.
times, new expectations. You know what I mean? But we getting it going, man. I'm gonna get this really situated because
You good, you good.
man, the gang's all here, so we gotta make sure we right. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, everything is good. You know what I'm saying? I got on a good Josh Hart joint if y'all can see it. You know what I'm
Hey, we
saying?
were
So we
just talking
here. You know
about
what I mean?
Josh, so
Everything's
that's
all
the
right.
perfect
My
timing.
God.
Perfect
Yeah.
timing. How's the new album being received?
Oh, it's been crazy, man. You know, it's always a honor and a blessing and a privilege, you know, for the people to feel the way they feel. It's been going crazy. You know, the phone has been going hammer. People been calling, texting, posting, whatever. And, you know, it's been dope, man. You know, it's been a flawless outcome indeed. You know what I mean?
That's
So
awesome.
much love to everybody who has tapped in, who's been going wild for it, pressing play on repeat, on loop. You know, I see it all. I hear it all. I appreciate it.
That's awesome, man. All right, so before we bring up our whiskey guest, have a
Yeah.
sample, and then go talk Knicks again, and then pop another sample, talk Knicks.
Yeah.
Um, we were just talking about Josh Hart, so you came at the perfect
Oh,
time.
word up. Yeah,
Like we were
absolutely.
just talking about his record numbers for his career from shooting from 3. Like he's
Yeah.
shooting with crazy confidence compared
Yep.
to what he used to do.
Right.
And it looks like he came to prove something when he got his starting lineup position opportunity again.
Right.
Like he wanted to make sure that it wasn't an opportunity that passed him by. So what are
Yeah.
you seeing from Josh Hart this season that sets him apart from seasons that we've seen him previously?
Well, I think, and I said this on a New York Post show as well. You know, I think the reason why he flourishes in the starting lineup as opposed to the bench, even though one of the best attributes about him is that he is very open to being on the bench, right? Very
Yep.
much a team player. You know, you can tell that's genuine too when he says those things. Even if he plays better as a starter than on the bench, you know, he's a team player in the sense of, yo, whatever y'all need me to do, I'm with it. You know, in the playoffs last year, he put himself on the bench for a couple of those Indiana games. He
Yeah.
was like, yo, now I'm gonna fall back. Y'all go, you know, so it's genuine, right? But the reason why it works so much better with him in the starting lineup, I think it's different than if it were any other starting lineup in the league and any other bench in the league. And to break it down, this starting lineup, he doesn't have to do what your average starting 2 guard has to do on the other 29 starting lineups. You got JB, you got Cat, you got McCall, you got OG. That's 4 guys that can go and get you 20 plus a night with no
Yeah.
problem. 2 of them, if not 3, being McCall, are going to get 20 a night, if not more. And, you know, he doesn't have to do the things that he would have to do as a starting 2 guard on other teams. And on the
Yeah.
flip side, being a bench guy on this team, we need our bench guys to go out there and get 10, 12 points night to night in a row, even sometimes.
Yeah.
That's a different bag for him when it's just him and Jordan Clarkson, right? Whereas if he was off the bench on another team, you know, the load and the expectation is different. This is a team where the bench players may have more expectation on them than even the starters. And I know
Yeah.
that sounds a little weird and unorthodox, but when your starting lineup is so loaded and your bench is not that, it's like, yo, either a couple players are hurt or they need a breather or it's kind of off tonight, but whatever it is, the bench get out there, yo, we need y'all to go up there and fill it up. We need y'all to go out there and get right. Whereas other benches in other leagues, in other teams, may not have that same weight. You know, the weight on our bench is a little heavier than others. And that's why I think he flourishes more in the starting lineup, even though he's not known as a bucket getter, quote unquote, right? He can do the little things that we know him to do:
Yeah.
rebounds, defense, diving for the rock,
Mhm.
making the gritty play, putting his body on the line. Those things, he can do those things in the starting lineup because you got 4 guys around him who could go for 20, 25 a night at the same time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's not a lot of
Right.
other starting 5s in the league that do that. So you would need a Josh Hart on any other team to go off for 20 something a night. He doesn't have to. The pressure is different. This
Mhm.
guy's getting doubled. This guy's getting doubled. This guy's getting triple. You're sitting over there wide open. The pressure is different with
Mhm.
him as a starter than there is with him on the bench. There's way more pressure for him on the bench. And it sounds weird, but when you really do the math, it adds up.
Nah, it makes sense. I'll throw it to you on Paulo on what he said, but then I have one more thought on Josh, and then we're gonna bring up Ricky. So what are your thoughts to what Sky just said?
Nah, it's a fact, man, because like I said earlier, is the fact that now these guys are swinging him the ball and they're expecting him to shoot. You know what I mean? Like you're part of this rotation. We know at this point you've been working on it. We've seen you in practice. We know what you've been doing. You know what I mean? You've been putting the work in. So at this point, let's see it. And the confidence is starting to build. Now he's starting to take that shot. And that's my only problem that I had with him last year. My favorite Nick, but I'm like, hey, take that shot.
I agree.
Don't not take that shot. Take this shot. Even if you don't think you're gonna make it, I don't want the other team to know you ain't gonna take that shot if we leave you open. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, I don't care if you're missing it, take the shot, but now he's making it, and it's water. They're not rattling in. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, that's the confidence that he needs. So I'm right with you 100%. Oh, I can't hear you. Your mic. Maybe.
Check.
There you
All right.
go.
There you
So
go.
the last thing I'll say about Josh is you talk about how he doesn't need to go out and get that many points now that he's in the starting lineup. But under this new Mike Brown offense, it's actually allowing him to get those kind of points in the starting lineup. Like, it's crazy to see the kind of numbers that he's putting up, not just in boards, not just in like pushing the pace, but the confidence of the three. He's getting open looks, he's getting clean looks, and even when they're contested looks, he's now got a confidence because it's not so ISO focused anymore. Like, you got to think like what this offense was last year under Tibbs. If Josh got an open three, he was probably just standing there for quite some time until he finally got a rock and then
By
had
default,
to shoot it up,
Right,
with less time on the clock, or, not as easy of a shot. Like, it wasn't like the ball was moving and it comes into Josh's hands and he's like, I got this. Most times it was, all right, you got 4 seconds left. What are you doing with it? Like Jalen doesn't got the shot. Now, with the way the offense moves, it's like it's fluid and he gets the kind of shots that work best for him. Like, he can force his way to the basket when it's in motion, like when it's coming down the court, when it's fast paced and moving. But he's not the kind of guy that's going to knock down a three when the defender's right there waiting for him to get the rock. Like, he needs to get it in movement, in transition, and we're seeing that now. And so when he doesn't need to get us those, 16 to 20 points a night, is now when he's getting us those 16 to 20 points a night, making it even better so that if the bench can't contribute as much, we still got bigger cushions than we did before because other people are contributing that weren't in the starting lineup. So we're going to keep going down the list of players very soon, but I want to bring up a guy by the name of Ricky Johnson, of a brand that I really, really like. As you guys know, I love the whiskey game. Like, it's just something that I do. I create a lot of content for whiskey brands. And I found this brand a few years ago, 15 stars. I actually think it was from my friend, Anthony, who goes by the name Bourbon Whiskey Library, has one of the best whiskey collections I've ever seen in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he was like, yo, you need to check out this brand. And he put me onto them. And I was like really, really impressed because I hadn't heard of them. And I was like, man, they are that good. But it's not like I hadn't heard of them because they have like low tier whiskey. Like, it was top notch stuff that they were putting out. Things that were like the kind of things that you only share with the actual whiskey drinker in your life. Not the people that are like, oh, I like my Captain and Coke. You're like, yeah, don't touch that bottle. Like, that's one of those things. And so
they're like the whiskey Skyzoo.
Exactly. That's what I do. So, so I was excited when I connected with these guys and they sent us the bottles last year for the Timeless Reserve. And when we decided we were going to have people from the brands come on up, I knew I wanted Ricky to come and be a part of it. He let me know, hey, I was an NBA fan as a child. I don't really follow it anymore. I said, don't worry. We'll talk about who you used to like. We'll talk about good whiskey. And then while we sip, we'll talk about whiskey, and you don't have to be up here forever just sitting down wishing you were gone. So I want to make sure we give him his respect, his love, and showcase these two fine bottles. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my guy, Ricky Johnson.
Hey, what's up, guys? I forgot my orange. I'm sorry.
What happened?
I forgot my orange. That's on me.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm wearing enough orange for the whole panel, so you good.
There we go. I
Good.
got some orange in a glass right here.
That's
There you
all you
go.
need. That's all you need. So Ricky,
Good.
tell me, like, but before we, take these samples and stuff, give me a little history about like the brand, your affiliation, like just all the good stuff. I know it, but these guys don't. The people that are watching don't. So give a little breakdown of 15 Stars.
Yeah, for sure. So 15 Stars, we started 6 years ago now. In 2019, actually, it was my dad and I. I had been working with my family for summers, home from school. We actually have a popcorn company as well called Black Jewel Popcorn. It was my dad's idea one summer to ask me if I wanted to take up a project of seeing if those corns could be distilled into bourbon. I mean, obviously, bourbon is a predominantly corn spirit, but these popcorns, especially being specialty popcorns, colored black, red, white, blue, and such, we didn't know if they would distill or anything. So it was my job that summer to make some connections, build a business plan around it. We met with Bardstown Bourbon Company, who I know you're familiar with, make some
Yes, sir.
outstanding juice, and they were excited about the project. And that's how we started off. It wasn't the blending of high age spirits that we're known for currently. It was distilling these unique heirloom corns. So we started that in 2019, and since then started blending with products off the shelf just to figure out variables in different products and how they can combine and create different flavors. And based on that, found that it was something we thought that we could really build unique, more complex, and really great flavors from. So that's what kind of kickstarted our blending journey. So as you know, with the 15 Stars, the 13-year-old Timeless you had last year is in that high age blend of 13 and 15. And that's what we kicked off the brand with, was these high age spirits, while we were waiting for our heirloom corns to get as old as we really wanted them to put them in products. And we'll continue to blend those high age spirits. But one of the bottles that you got to try is one of the first to introduce those cool corns we have.
That's awesome. I love that, because it shows me that you guys can do it all, which is a huge thing. Like some brands are like, no, we don't distill our own, we blend, and I'm like, I respect it. You put out good stuff. It doesn't matter to me if you collaborated with someone else or not. Sky knows all about that. Like sometimes the best songs you put out are the ones you collaborated with someone, and your verse might not even be the best one, but it made a classic. So what does it matter? You were part of making a classic. And I feel like that's what you guys have done with 15 Stars. Like you guys have created really, really amazing ones. Like this one we're going to try is a blend of 14, 13, 9, and 8. Like a lot of brands that blend and just start blending, they're not blending with things that are that high age, so that is a feat in itself to be able to like have something that's been aging that much at such a young age in the company, and then like you said, being able to then drop your own right here in this First West release. Like I was really excited when I was at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival and you guys had these on the shelf, because I had been seeing that you guys were releasing these and I was like, all right, how's this going to compare to what they do with the blending? Like, is it going to be up to par with what they're doing there? And I was excited to see that it was. And so, these guys right here, different, we're all in our whiskey journey differently, like I don't know what everybody drinks or anything like that, but I know good whiskey, which is the whole thing on this show, is trying to get NBA fans to realize that Captain and Coke at the game is not a real whiskey experience when you're watching a game. Like pour something delicious in a glass, serve it neat, enjoy it. And so I'm excited to try this one first before we talk Knicks at all. Give us a little bit of like background of what we're going to be tasting right here in this First West right here.
Yeah, so the First West line, we originated with 15 Stars in the bottles that you guys know. Actually, I should pull one so you can see it. This is what the 15 Stars package looks like that we started with, which, as I mentioned, focused on high-aged blends. And our First West is the introduction of our unique heirloom corns. And so with that, we took these unique heirloom corns and still following the same principles that we follow with 15 Stars, which includes the blending. and also what we call flavor proofing, which for us means finding the proof and blend that combine together to create the best neat drinking flavor, because with proofing you can pull out and bring different flavors to the forefront. So we think that's a really important part of the product development process. And so with the First West and the Toasted Oak is a blend of 5, 6, and 7-year-old bourbons, with the 5-year-old in that being a red, white, and blue corn bourbon mash bill. So those 3 corns combined, distilled together, and are really, to those corns brings kind of their own flavor. We've distilled them separately, so we actually got to try that and see the differences in the same mash bill, which is really cool. But together, they're still outstanding. So the Toasted Oak, 98 proof, and the cool thing, as bourbon blenders, we don't like anything to be easy. We like to experiment. We're curious people, and so with our toasted barrels that we put it in, we didn't just finish in one type of Toasted Oak barrel. We actually experimented with multiple different kinds of barrels and formulated a blend of 2 different toast profiles. So while the bourbons themselves are blended, then they're put into these different toasted barrels and blended back together. So basically 2 stages of blending that we think really refines the flavor, brings out the complexity in the product, and makes it taste great, which is the overall goal.
I love it. I love it. This one to me is really cool because some people may not know, but like the brands using blue, red, and white, corn variations has become a really popular thing, over these last few years. There's a lot of brands that are branching out into the blue corn releases and the red corn releases, and it really changes the flavor profiles of what you're doing. Hey, my brother's in the building. He said, "What up, Apollo? What up, Skyzoo?"
Yo.
What's going on?
What up, Jigga?
What's up, man?
All right, so guys, let's pour this up and see what we think. This is the First West.
First West, all right.
So everyone's got a sample here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
make sure
cracking
that.
mine right now. Everybody bear with me for a split second. I know we're going to do it together. All right,
Yeah,
I got
you're
mine
good.
up.
You're good.
I want to pour mine right now.
So, one of the things, I cracked this open for the game because I just wanted a pre-game sample of what we were tasting. And I was very pleased, very, very pleased. There's one thing that we say on here: no one's tasting notes are wrong because everyone's life experience is completely different. So you're going to taste something, that reminds you of something that might not remind me of something. But what I did love about this one is that it was very smooth and had a lot of fruit notes in there, which is really, really cool to taste. Me personally, I got, I'm gonna drink it again, but I got something, that was like cinnamony, marshmallowy, but also like a little bit of like cherry or something in there. And it was delicious. So I'm excited to give this one a shot with y'all. Cheers to you guys. Cheers to 15 Stars and their brand,
man.
First West. Appreciate you. Let's go.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's damn
Yeah.
So
That's good.
it might be worth mentioning that the difference between the 15 Stars and the First West releases, like I mentioned, the 15 Stars being really high age,
Yeah.
fits in at a more premium price point, where while like I mentioned, the First West follows the same principles, the same flavor based principles that 15 Stars does. It's at a lower age statement, so comes in for us at a lower price point of $59 to $79 for the 3 releases we have.
Nice.
And whereas the 15 Stars would normally be kind of $139 to $279. So an entry point for us into that more approachable price point, where it might be a stretch for some people, but it's still attainable. It's a price point where a lot of people can either drink it daily or it can be a special bottle for them, whereas the 15 Stars products are a little more limited and special in their availability, basically.
Yeah. No, I love that. And that's one thing that I was very happy with because, especially with this show where I'm trying to bridge the gap between like sports and whiskey. I had my guy Frank on. He goes by Burb Your Enthusiasm, and he works with Up Rocks. He's a beat writer for Up Rocks, and he's got something where he's doing like cocktails and music, like new albums that have dropped, new songs, and what album, what whiskey they pair well with, and that's one thing he was talking to me about was like, this is going to be the next thing. Like, stay on the trajectory you're on, because everyone's trying to do that with cocktails and whiskey right now with the music game. They're going to want to do it with sports. So keep it up. But it's hard when you have a brand where you're trying to first educate people and you're like, the lowest you can find a bottle of this is 160, because they're like, yo,
For sure.
what are you talking about? Like, I can get Fireball for like $6.99, and I'm like, all right, we're not speaking the same language. Let's slow down real quick.
Fireball.
So to be able to have something at this price point, I think was genius of you and your dad to go this route. And the fact that like the quality of it is superb, like for lower age statement, and it being 98 proof, like it doesn't drink low proof, like it drinks right, where it should be for that price point, and for that proof point. So I absolutely love it. And those that are watching, we've done this before, but if you ever pick any of these bottles up, I know you guys come on the show and you try to have sips and samples with us. I always talk about the best way to drink your whiskey to get the best flavors out of it. Make sure you exhale all the air out of your lungs before you take a sip. Like, you don't want to have any air in your lungs at all. People are like, all I taste is burn. You taste that burn because you got air in your lungs. Like, completely exhale before you take your sip, and you'll taste all the flavors that we're talking about, or some unique flavors of your own. So I love this pour, man. This is a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And with the bourbon, you might notice I'll quit talking eventually and let you guys go.
Go for it.
The bottle is blue, as you can see, and it's not very typical for bourbon to be in colored bottles, let alone a blue bottle. But our brand is really focused in Kentucky heritage and early Kentucky craftsmanship. That's what 15 Stars recognizes the second U.S. flag, which had 15 stars and stripes, celebrating Kentucky as the 15th state. And this bottle is it's inspired by actually the first bottles ever made in Kentucky for bourbon, which were characterized by, one, that blue glass, and two, if you can see these ribs going along the outside. These old bottles from the early 1800s had those as well. So, yeah, your camera's a little better than mine. Might be easy to see, but yeah. So we really wanted for this First West line to bring some of that early Kentucky craftsmanship into the product to really express what we're about as a brand, and we're really happy with the result that we got.
I love it. Thanks, Ricky. Appreciate you. We're going to talk about one player, and then we're going to go into the next pour. Sky, what'd you think of this pour?
Oh, it was great, man. I was looking for those notes that you mentioned, cinnamon and all those other things, and I caught some of them for sure. I didn't catch the marshmallow, so that just gives me another excuse to pour another one. You know what I mean? So I can look for it, But I caught the cinnamon and all that stuff, and man, it was nice, man. For me, a slight bite at the end, but that's cool. You don't want that bite the whole time or in the beginning. Some whiskeys, it feels like there's a bite the entire time, even with the exhale and everything. But with this one, it's really smooth. I felt a little bite right at the very end, which is cool, but it was super smooth. And I just got to go again so I can find the marshmallow hiding behind the tree. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, it's cool you say that, because what a lot of people don't realize is there's a difference between a bite and a burn. Like if you're getting all burn, there's an issue. It's probably overproofed for what it is. Like, it wasn't aged well. But the bite just shows you, like, hey, it's delicious, but also, just because it's delicious doesn't mean you need to pour 6 ounces, in your first glass for the night.
It's a tall, strong drink. You know
it's
what
strong,
I mean? It's power forward. Let's get it going. You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? So, yeah.
I love it. All right, so let's go into the next guy. We were talking about that Toronto game, and we just gave Josh Hart all his praise. And I saw Jay Ellis say that it was his favorite game from Cat. And for me, this was a hard one for me and Cat, if I'm completely honest. and I'm going to say why. And I'm going to share it through the screen first. So this right here is one thing when it comes to Cat. All right, let's watch this again.
Oh yeah.
That dunk was absolutely incredible. Like when that happened, me and my boys jumped out of our seat. We were ecstatic. Okay. We love that. Props to that. Okay. Another thing was this right here. I'm going to, show another clip that someone broke down, which I thought they did a great job showing this. They put this little video together highlighting some of Cat's defensive plays of the game. And I know that's hard to say because we don't always think that. But this was a great breakdown of what happened in the game. So I'm going to play this clip right here. All right. All right. I don't think it's going. There we go. All right. Here we go.
McBride with no Landry Shamet. Knicks need scoring up the
Cat
bench.
holding it down in the paint.
Deflected by Anunoby
Leads
and
to the
steal.
OG.
OG Anunoby
turnover.
with the flush. And it's a 16-point lead.
So all throughout that game, we were able to see a different version of Cat defensively, like someone that can actually hold his own, someone that can, deter the offense. And then we saw that he could be dominant, like in plays like that. And I love that. But my problem is that it just shows me how inconsistent Cat has been for us. Like you have nights like that where you're like, man, this guy can play D. And then you have nights that you're like, that dude is the biggest cone I've ever seen on the defensive end. Or he doesn't play aggressive against certain other bigs. He allows them to bully him or power forwards to bully him. So it's like every night I have to go, which Cat am I getting? It's kind of like that era of Kanye where you were like, am I getting the genius Kanye or am I getting the crazy out of his mind, like don't hang around this kind of guy Kanye? You didn't know which was going to come. And I feel like that's how it is with Cat right now. And so even though it was good in certain ways, he also shot 36% on the night, so it wasn't like a pretty night for Cat. Right. So what are your guys' thoughts on Cat? Because for me, it's kind of, very confusing right now at this point.
Well, I'm a Cat fan, I'm a Cat supporter. Got the jersey right away when he walked in. I just like having all of them that's running with us and our team. Yep. But I definitely understand your take and kind of frustration wanting the best. It's like when someone has all these capabilities or talent or whatever it is. It's like a teacher in school, right? It's like I know what you can be. I know what you have. It's just about getting it out of you. So I definitely understand where you at. I think with Cat a lot of times, him being so tall and his build and everything, I think a lot of times he may get fouled and it gets overlooked and the hack thing and all that stuff, but he's looking for the foul. Not looking for the foul in the sense of flopping at all. Mm-hmm. More so in the sense of, man, you didn't see that? You didn't see that? There's plenty of memes of him throwing his hands up and everything like that and the oh my gods and all that, and I think there's a lot of validity in those things, but I think also it's about knowing, what? I'm probably not going to get those calls. Instead of trying to fight for them, let me just go back and play hard. And that's a tough one to ask somebody to do when you know that they're being done wrong, but they're not going to get what they deserve from it. So I think a lot of that comes into play. I think it kind of affects the way he approaches his game sometimes. Let me stay out here and drill these threes. Also knowing he is one of the best big men three-point shooters ever, like in the history of the league, is documented. So, I think there's a combination of, let me play this way. They're not going to give me these calls. They're not going to give me these looks that I deserve. Let me play out here. Let me play with this. But sometimes it is frustrating watching him pull up almost from half court and, dead center on, right? Instead of even that corner three where it's a shorter shot, he may grab a read, throw it to JB. He'll trail along slow so that when JB is almost in the paint, when he looks behind him from the key, Cat is right there at the three, but line straight up. He throws it back, and then Cat is throwing it up from almost half court. Sometimes it's a little frustrating, but there is the reality that there's a good chance that might also drop. So I definitely see kind of the conundrum and what we can sit at home as fans like, man, I knew he could do this. So, why is he doing that? You know, there is that. But I'm a Cat supporter. I think he doesn't get at times, I think he doesn't get the love and kudos that he deserves at times. There are times where he gets it all, you know, but I think at times there's validity to it though, you know, without a doubt. We got to be honest as fans.
I think this is a great take. So it's Bodega Cat versus, oh my God, Towns. You know, who is coming to play that night?
I'm never going, oh my God, I'm not. I wasn't a fan of when all that was happening, man. You know, not to even cut you off. I want you to finish. Know, the journey you was on, but I don't know if you've ever seen. And granted, it is a while ago. I don't know if you've ever seen Cat's college highlights.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
They're
God.
insane.
He's
insane.
Crazy.
Like the offensive side, but even more so the defensive side, even more so impressive. They're absolutely insane. It looked like a fast baby Shaq, you know. It looks like the speed and agility of a David Robinson with a Shaq confidence and dominance. They're absolutely phenomenal. And I know we all grow and Father Time. I mean, he's only like 30 years old, but I know the needs start getting different. But I wish somebody, and this is not a complaint or a knock on him, because like I said, I'm a fan, I'm a supporter. Like I stand up for him when other people in the sports bar aren't. But I wish someone could show him those highlights from back in the day when he was in college, man. Like there's a reason why he was the #1 overall pick, and there was nothing to discuss. It was like Blake Griffin and John Wall and LeBron. It was like, well, whoever gets drafted, you know, whoever gets the #1 pick in the lottery, we know who they're gonna pick. You know what I mean? So like. Those highlights are insane for everybody watching, everybody tuned into the channel right now. Those highlights are insane. You know what I mean? So I feel like to say that is in there. That's in there somewhere. You know, it's just about finding it like the marshmallow in the First West. You know what I'm saying? You got to find it. You know what I mean? It's there, man. I wish somebody close to him, Jordan Woods or somebody, would just pull up YouTube and be like, yo, you know who you are. You know who you really, really are, you know?
Thank you guys so much for posting the stream. Shout out to my big brother in the building. And that's what I'm saying, though. You know, like I'm a fan of Cat. Like I am. You know,
it's coming
like,
from a place of love.
Yeah, me and my boys, you know, love watching Cat. You know, like, and I think that's what frustrates us is when, you know, especially as someone that has to watch the games, you know, to critically give my, you know, opinions on the show week in and week out, is you're watching for all the pros and all the cons of every single player. You know, the thing about JB is when JB has a bad game, you're like, okay, he had a bad game. He made some, you know, bad reads or whatever. But like with Cat, you look at it and you go, okay, I understand you're the greatest shooting big of all time, you know, statistically and everything like that. But we both also know that this is the worst year for you as a big shooting, you know, 3-point guy in years, you know, in the past like 4 years. This is your worst shooting year so far, you know. So when you realize after shooting 7 of them that you haven't made any, maybe it's time to use big body Cat and be big body, you know, like drive it to the paint, you know, because it shows you, you know, against that team, which they're a bigger team. You know, Toronto's not small guys, you know, that he could be that dominant. You know, he can be that. And I think the problem with Cat is, and my guy Phil Steger from Brother Justice Whiskey Brand was on a few weeks ago with me and Apollo, and he is a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, diehard, has followed Cat's career since college. And he was talking about how for him, he's really hoping that Cat adapts to this Mike Brown offense because he had Tibbs as a coach for so long that wanted him to fit one role instead of being the multiple things that Cat can be. And so instead of being an aggressive player or, you know, a 3-point shooter, like he can be both of those. Like you don't have to not be dominant because you can shoot a 3, you know, like you have the ability to do both, which a lot of people don't. You know, like why not use that to your benefit, to your advantage? And so when I see those things, I'm gonna play this and then throw it to Apollo. When you go, oh, okay, so it's not that you can't do it. Like there's a difference between you can't do it, I'm not gonna keep talking about it. But when I know you can do it, and then I see 3 games in a row where you don't do it, that's where it makes me go, come on. Like this right here, my guy Teg put on a awesome highlight reel of the Cat defense in this past game. So I'm going to play that real quick and then throw it to Apollo, because this is just a great clip of everything that he did in this game. All right, here we go.
Stolen. Barnes the other way. Gonna challenge Towns for the Knicks. Ingram into Pirtle. And Pirtle diving on the floor for it. Toss out to Ingram. Ingram on the drive, hanging, can't hit. Good verticality.
Things unfold every night. He's been pretty awesome on that end.
Shot clock winding down on Ingram.
We're alive here with this offensive possession.
Ingram blocked by Towns.
Gets all the way to the rim.
9-point advantage for New York. Pirtle, no good. Rebound.
And it just goes on and on for like another 30 seconds of Cat just being a dominant defender. When how many nights are we like, oh my gosh, it's first quarter and Cat has 3 fouls, you know, like because he's not using his basketball IQ. Those were against Brandon Ingram, one of the best offensive mid-range shooters in the game, you know, with height and length, and yet he played him so well defensively. And that's the Cat that I need to see night in and night out if we're going to contend with some of these other teams in the league. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I mean, I think the problem that everybody has with Cat is expectations. You know what I'm saying? It's what you expect him to do based off of what you know he can do. You know what I mean? And that's really where it comes from. Like people could bypass the oh my God all the time if you're dropping 25 and 10 every game and you on both sides of the court going crazy. You know what I mean? So to me, that's where my frustration comes in with Cat. I want you to be that way every game. It bothers me when I see you do it versus Brooklyn, and then when we play in Orlando, I don't see that aggressiveness. You know what I mean? When you got Wendell Carter Jr., I don't like when Wendell Carter Jr. plays against us because he acts a little too confident, and sometimes I want him to throw an elbow in his chest a little bit, but that's not Cat. You know what I mean? And that's, like I said, expectations. You know what I'm saying? So I got to reel that back. So I think that's what my problem has always been with Cat is like, yo, if you can do this every single game, like not only would you shut a lot of people up, but we would be completely hard to beat. You know what I mean? And that's just, I feel like if you just, and to me, I know it's hard to do every single game because a lot of guys feel like they can be extra physical with Cat, and you can't mix that with the refs not calling foul. You know what I mean? Because he is 7 foot tall at the end of the day. So sometimes he's going to tower over these guys so it doesn't look like a foul. But, you know, it's hard to manage that game to game. So that's just me. So like you said, when you saw that dunk that he did, and he dunks on Scotty Barnes and Jakob Poeltl, and I'm like, where was that athleticism been? You know what I'm saying? Like he just took off. And that's, to me, is where my frustration comes. I'm like, yo, where is this at? Well, where does this come from? Like, where'd it go? So, you know, that's just it. My problem has always been the consistency of the energy with Cat. There's been games where he'll come in and he's going crazy, and then because the refs aren't calling a foul, he's looking for it. Then it takes him out of his game. Like, yo, just lock in. And once he's locked in, like that's the best Cat. Like J. Ellis is saying, that's the best Cat game I saw this year, because you know, and that's not just stat wise. You're on both sides. Vertical, hands up, you're not getting the silly fouls. That is probably by far the most frustrating thing I've ever had to deal with Cat, is the amount of silly fouls he picks himself. He gets himself in, and then now you got to sit down, and now you can't help us. Now you can't get that 20-30 points that you know you can get, because now you can't just keep your hands to yourself. So to see him make that change mid-season, and to see that he's continuing to make those strides, I got to give him credit for that. You know what I mean? But like you said, man, it's just I want to see that every game. I want to see you have the energy. I don't care about the stats, just the energy every game. Just like Josh Hart with the shot. I don't care if you miss, just take it. It's the same thing, same as that situation.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we're gonna do this real quick. My last thing on Cat, then we're gonna go back to Ricky, and we're gonna dive into this 15 stars. But I saw something from you mentioned Blake Griffin earlier. I watched something on him about Karl Anthony Towns that actually made me chuckle the other day. So it actually got my run it back segment. So I'm gonna play this little clip from Blake Griffin. Hopefully these guys don't get me fined on YouTube, but it is what it is. So here we go. Play this little clip right here.
A little bit of a shooting slump, but ever since he found out he can pass to himself, things have really improved. Again, this time for a dunk. What? Who needs the other 4 guys? Just hey, you're open in the corner, Cat. Yep, I got it. Go get it. Knock down the shot. Yeah, no look.
Step out of
He's
bounds.
doing things that haven't been seen. Yeah, stepping out of bounds too. Brilliant. He's adding little bits to everything. We just
I just saw that clip and I thought it was hilarious. Like, you're open from 3, Cat. Don't pass it to anybody else.
Oh man.
All
He
right.
made a couple of those plays. I was like, how does he keep getting away with this?
He does. I think it's hilarious. All right, Ricky. All right, this right here, the bad boy that the brand started on, 15
Yep.
stars. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be sipping on right here.
Yeah, so the Founders Reserve is our highest age rye we've ever come out with. One of our more recent releases. It is a blend of 8, 9, 13, and 14-year-old rye. And if you're familiar with rye whiskey, those are old age statements in general, but rye doesn't typically reach the age statements that old bourbon does. You don't see many 14, 15, that area of rye. It matures a little quicker than bourbon, gets to a good drinking age a little earlier. So this is a very mature example of a rye whiskey. And a lot of people, I'm a rye lover. I'm a bourbon lover too. So I guess I could just call myself a whiskey lover. But ryes are a really interesting thing where a lot of times, people characterize it as that minty flavor, the kind of briskness that it has, where this, I think, is a different type of rye where it brings a bit more of those fruity notes. And as you said, Phil, I totally agree that tasting notes are completely subjective. But for me, it's a lot fruitier than a lot of ryes you'll have. And part of that is down to one of the mash bills that's in it is a high corn mash bill. So you get a bit more of that sweetness coming through rather than your typical really high rye content mash bill. So a really unique rye, and actually our lowest proof point at 95 proof. We just wanted it to be a smooth, pleasant sipping rye that people can really enjoy.
I love it. What I love about this one is ryes are hard to share with people that aren't full on like whiskey drinkers like you. They could be full on bourbon drinkers and still not like rye, either because they don't like that like minty taste to it, or the rye spice is too much for them. It's too rye spice forward. What I like about this one is this rye spice is like so refined. Like it hits you at the end, but it's gentle. Like it's not like a punch in the face. Like it's just a gentle rye spice to end the flavors. And so I'm going to let these guys take a sip, give their thoughts before I give mine, because I don't like to always be the first to chat. So you guys grab a little sip of this. Cheers to you guys. Cheers.
Well, Phil, let me ask you something. I thought we was all pouring together while Ricky was talking. It looked like you was sipping. That wasn't fair.
I'm the host. I break the
I ain't gonna
law.
lie, I was sipping too. I was
I
sipping
thought,
too.
let's see, my screen's small. I'm over here waiting, and I'm Ricky's giving his breakdown, and Phil is in the back. I'm like, wait, hold on, what's going on? You ran ahead of me in the race. What's going on?
I saw him take a sip. I thought, yeah, me too.
Here.
See, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look. Here.
A couple Jerry Seinfelds over here running before the shot go off.
I don't know what you saw. I'm pouring right now, bro. What? I didn't do nothing.
Your second one.
Right. The second one.
There we go.
Cheers. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's dang good.
Yeah.
That's real smooth, man. That's really smooth.
Real smooth. To me, it had a little more bite than the First West. Very smooth, but it had a little more bite.
Mm.
Yeah, you could probably see me scrunch up a little bit at the end in a good way. You know what I mean? A pleasant
Did you
surprise,
exhale
like,
before you? Did you exhale before you grab a sip?
A little bit. A little
Okay.
bit. It didn't burn.
Take
It
another
wasn't a
pour.
burn. It just was a
Take
little
another
more
pour
bright than
and
that first one.
completely get all the air completely out of your lungs before
Yeah,
you
but
take a
it
sip.
wasn't a burn. I
Okay.
want to go on the record. It just was a bite. It wasn't like it
Yeah.
hurt. Like, oh man, it wasn't like that. It was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
But it was really nice, really nice.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I get like that kind of like minty rye. Like I do feel that that taste in there, but it's also mixed with the usual suspects of the caramel and the vanilla that people usually say. But it's a good blend of it. And like you said, it's not too what you said is a 90 something proof. It's
95,
not
you said?
99.
Yeah,
95.
Yeah. So it's it doesn't hit very hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really smooth. So you can really just sit there and just you can get messed up just sitting there drinking that. You wouldn't even realize it. But that's
One of those
really,
too,
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Really, really smooth. I like that.
What I like about this is to Apollo's point, it's got that mint, but not like mint as if like a lot of them. Sometimes it's like you're chewing a piece of mint bubble gum, but it's mint in the sense of that there's a freshness to it, like there's a lightness to it, and so I love
like
that.
a leaf, like a mint leaf, kind of.
And it's like that mixed with like floral notes, which are really, really light, really chill. So some dark fruit, like dark cherries or something like that, is that sweetness for me. But then that oak at the end to me is perfect. Like it's a perfect, like I feel like without the oak, it would be too sweet of a drink to me, too refreshing and too sweet. And I feel like that oak is like that perfect balance. And so what I like about it is that oak comes from that 14 year, like if you have something that has aged that long, and doesn't have a little bit of oakiness to it, like what actually happened in that aging process, like where were you? Like, was it winter all year long, where you aged that whiskey, like no heat whatsoever in the barrel? So yeah, I absolutely love this one. This one's delicious. It's so good.
Yeah,
So,
you must have
all
been reading my tasting notes. You're saying the same stuff that I would say.
Hey, that's
Ironic.
because you're a genius, and I
We're
just want to be like you. So, Ricky, I know you're not an NBA fan now, but who was your team growing up?
Yeah, so I should say I still follow all the sports pages. As I said, I'm a sports guy, so I'm in the know about who's where and that sort of thing, trades and such. But I don't watch a ton. But when I was younger, I was a Pacers fan.
Oh,
So yeah, I know it's a tough subject still, probably, but we didn't get it done either. So it's what it is.
I don't know about this 15-star anymore, man.
yeah, right.
I was say, well, Ricky, we'll see you later.
Of the money playing.
But yeah, it was, I was back in the day when it was like Jermaine O'Neal was when I was watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
That's
a
what's
Pacers fan and a Celtics fan. I don't know why I was a Celtics fan, to be honest, but I loved like Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, that squad. Great team.
Yeah, Rondo, yep.
Yeah.
Rondo.
Yeah,
yep.
that was a hard squad, like really,
yeah.
really solid lineup. So it makes sense. All right, Ricky, let us know what you guys got in the pipeline. Like, how can people support you guys? How can people like rock with what you guys are
everything,
doing?
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we're in a good amount of states, 28 actually, with a good set of offerings. And so it's mostly on the eastern half of the U.S. So if we are in your state, get it off the shelf. We want to support our retailers, but also we sell online through our website to 43 out of 50 states. So pretty much everywhere, unless you live in one of the Dakotas or something like that. So you can get it off 15stars.com. If you want to stay up to tune with what we're doing, our Instagram 15 Stars Bourbon and Facebook also 15 Stars Bourbon. And we have a newsletter on the website, and I write the newsletters myself. So if you want it straight from the source, our newsletter is a good spot too. But coming down the pipeline, we have some really cool things. We're going to be releasing a very limited, very special new bottle under the 15 Stars line next year that is a very special looking thing. So it'll be a really cool release to see, our highest aged yet. And that, along with some new First West releases, There will be a rye under First West. There will be single barrel products, a lot of new stuff, some cool things we're doing, as well as new heirloom corns that we haven't released yet. So, yeah, some really fun stuff.
I love that. So what you're saying is, with this new bottle you're releasing, plus these ryes for First West, we will be doing an episode with you come playoff time.
Oh,
We'll have more for you. Yep. And I do want to say I have a tie to the Knicks to redeem myself a little bit. I went
All right,
to
let's hear it,
Indiana
because-
University.
because
I went
we
to
got some
Indiana
people right
University
here.
and watched OG Anunoby, so I'm an OG fan.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
There you
All
go.
right.
Okay. Yeah. You're good. You're good in our book. You're good.
There
in
you
our
go.
Redeem
Word
yourself.
up.
It's one of those things where it's like, you could have just won us over with that. Like,
I should have started with that. What was I thinking?
Yeah, like, let's rewind. Let's cut that part of the show where you broke.
Yeah, I
all
said
of
that
our
at the
hearts.
beginning. You guys didn't hear it. I was telling you how much I love the Knicks and OG Anunoby.
Because what I'm hearing right here is, why did he have to pick our rival teams that we can't stand losing to? And I was like, I feel that heartbreak. So I appreciate you, Ricky. Like, seriously, thank you to you and your dad for being part of this.
Yeah,
We love
great
what you
work,
guys are
man.
doing. And, any way that we can support, like, I'm down. Let us know. Maybe we could figure out how to collaborate in the playoffs and do some, like, watch parties and stuff like that, where we serve up a bunch of 15 stars for people that come out to the watch party. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for having me on. It's always fun to come and chat with people, talk about bourbon. And, it's nice I do love what you're doing, combining different interests, sports with whiskey. So different groups of people can join together. The whiskey people can enjoy sports as well, and the sports people can get into whiskey. So it's always a nice thing. And I do want to say, Skyzoo, I listened to your album. I've been listening to it a lot. Love it. It's awesome, man. The Wager is my favorite song. The Wager is great. But I love them. I'm big into
I appreciate it, man.
the jazz rap type beats. I love the
listen,
production.
man.
It's great.
I when I'm on the road, man, I got to get to Kentucky. It's one of the few places I've been all over the world, literally 3 passports, everything. I've been all over the world 20 times. Never been to Kentucky, so I got to make my way out there. That's where you're based, right?
Yeah, we got to make it happen.
I got to get out there, man. And when I come out, do a little walkthrough of where you guys do the barrels and the aging and the whole deal, and throw some taste testing shots back and hang out a little bit, man. I'm looking forward to
sure.
it.
We might have to do a Knicks Nightcap Skyzoo live episode of us going through and testing a whole bunch of stuff
Let's
at
do
First
it.
West.
That's
Let's
fine.
do it,
Fine.
man. Let's do it. The only rule you can't start the race ahead of everybody else. You gotta wait.
I'll make sure that I have the last glass every single time.
There you go.
Ricky
There
will
you
have
go.
me in
Word up.
timeout. He won't give it to me till after you guys have enjoyed it.
We just got to get it together. That's it.
That's fine.
Appreciate you so much, Ricky. Thank you so much. Tell your dad I said thank you.
Yeah, we'll do. Great to chat. See you guys.
Have a great night.
All right, Rick.
All right. What we're going to do right now before we go into the next player, and we got a Magic fan in the building talking about this upcoming game, so we're going to talk about that. But before I do, I'm going to play a little segment from a song from Skyzoo's new album, because I believe everyone needs to check it out. Everyone needs to enjoy it. I remember the last time we had you on, we were highlighting songs from your album, of the, whole themed project that you had put out, and so this one's a little bit different. So tell people where you came from on this album.
Man, so this album, Views of a Lifetime, it piggybacks off of my last album, Keep Me Company. The way I do my albums, man, my catalog is going to wind up looking like a novel, and every album is a chapter and every song is a page, so this chapter right here, just piggybacking off the last one, Keep Me Company, was about growth, and Views of a Lifetime is now that you've settled into this growth, now that you've grown, you've accepted it, you've even embraced it fully head on, you're looking back at who you were, right? You're looking back on that old life. So it's Views of a Lifetime, because it's almost like you're in a new life. You're the same person, but you're almost in a new life with this new perspective that you have and this new growth spurt that you've grown into and settled in. So you've shed all of that, for lack of a better term, and now you're looking back, and you're looking back at the goals that you had, the things that you wanted to accomplish, mainly in your field, right? It could be me as the MC, it could be you guys as the listeners, but whatever fields you're in or whatever dreams you may have had, and certain goals and different things. Did I hit this? Did I hit that? Did I get this win. When I got that win, was it really a win or was it an L? When I took this L, it might have really been a W. It might have been a win, but I didn't realize that. I thought it was a loss. I was sulking in the moment, but now that I look back, thank God that didn't go the way I wanted to, because that loss really was a win. So there's all of those different types of moments throughout the album, man. You're just looking back and reflecting, realizing what was, what is, and what's going to be. And this is views of a lifetime.
Man, I love that, because what I've learned in my life is some of the biggest like valleys or hard times that I've experienced have actually led to the greatest seasons of growth, in my life, and a lot of times we look at things and we're like, yo, like God ain't there, or like, no one's hearing me, no one cares, and it's like, no, if you would have gotten what you wanted at that time, it would have been the worst thing for you.
That would be the proof that God ain't there. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
God, the proof that it didn't go that way is God being there. Because it's like, yeah, now I know you want that. I know how bad you want that deal or that moment or that outlet or whatever it is. And I know what's best for you more than anybody. So I'm gonna block that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get on my cat last night in Toronto. I'm gonna block that, and we gonna roll. And you'll look back later like, Dad, man, you saw what happened last night. So like, that's how we gonna do it.
I love it.
It's crazy. Like, staying on that same topic, I was watching something earlier online, and the dude was saying a lot of people feel like they're not satisfied with the results of the things that they do, and a lot of times he's saying you got to check your currency, because a lot of people feel like I should be paid for what I'm doing in this way. A lot of people looking for fame, some people looking for money, but that might not be the currency that you were paid with. You know what I'm saying? You might have met somebody through that process that you didn't think was the win, and that was the win. You know what I'm saying? That you needed to get you through the other side. So all of it is part of that story. It's kind of a lot of that is it's funny, because a lot of that stuff you start thinking about yourself, and you start now this video popping up. I'm like, oh, hold up. Like, so it's kind of like feeding into the mindset of a lot of what I've been dealing with recently. And it's dope. And it's also tied into something that I heard on the album, which we could talk about later or whenever y'all get around to that, for sure.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's one thing me and Apollo were talking about when I saw him a few weeks ago, was like, I always thought I was going to be a young father, like young father. And I wasn't. It wasn't in the cards, like based off of my cancer and everything like that. It was a lot further down the road. And I never thought I was going to be a father based off of that, And when I look at it, though, when I was a father, I was finally the man that I wanted to be to guide my children. I wasn't if I would have had them at the age that I wanted to. So I love it. We're going to dive into this first song, Skyzoo Is. I hope you all love it as much as I do. And like I said, I'm going to share this song. We're going to share another one later on. Support the album, pick it up, stream it everywhere, whatever platform you have, boost up the numbers.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere right now. I'm assuming this is Sky's like, let's do it, baby.
Yes, sir.
Manipulator. Yeah. And they call me SKYZOO. Do it like this. Yo, freedom or jail, pick your purpose. A baby's being born the same time cloud is purchased. The beginning and end, the feeling intense. It feel like the ceiling is thin. And then everything above it got a sinister grin. You do the math and count up what play in the field get you. Where they talk you out the ride the moment the field settles. For all the unknowns that roam in the field left you, I turned letters to numbers and left with a field medal. I'm Bobby Seale's spirit, Ryan Leslie vision. The scheme handwriting with my mother in the kitchen. Triple layered, I got the right three. My diet Panero, my aura Jada, my height chic. I deaded the hype beast. And memory of itching for a dub. Where love will get you killed and getting killed to get you love. Hell or heaven. If we talk God, tier and sevens, then of course, you know SKY is how you spell it. Sky's like the writer, the greatest balancing act that ever came in the skies. Nobody better. For the heroics, capes on the notice. Sky's like heavy is the head, the crown lay on. Sky's like still truly yours. Remember when you listen to Sky's like Silver's with a Motown contract.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, Sky's like one time. Yeah.
That's crazy. Who's the production on that one?
It's my man DJ Manipulator out of Boston, man. He's a monster, man. He's so incredible. We've worked in the past. He did a couple joints on Keep Me Company. and he did 2 joints on this one. And
Okay.
yeah, he's remarkable, man. So I had the idea. I went to him, with this whole idea and put it together and everything of flipping the Nas joint, of course, but doing it in our own way and doing it
Yeah.
different. Not using the Nas beat, not using the Nas sample, not using the Nas Primo drums, none of that.
Yeah.
Just the idea. Nas is like, okay, Sky is
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
almost like an homage, but at the same time, me just going off the way he went off. And Nas is like this, Nas is like that. I'm the feeling of this, I'm the feeling like that. Okay, cool. Sky's like this, Sky's like that. I'm the feeling of this. I'm like so and so like that. And just really continuing to bring that energy to a new generation. When you look at Nas is like that came out in 99, man. What's that? What, 26 years ago? So
Yep.
you got kids who was born that year who now are parents, have college degrees and cars and houses and jobs, and have no knowledge of that record because it was when they were born. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
let's introduce, let's reintroduce by introducing. So it's love, man, and the response has been insane. Everyone's been going crazy for it, for the song and the album, and it's all an honor and a privilege and a blessing.
I love it. Like for me, that song, what I really liked about it is the beat is so intricate yet so
Yeah,
simple at the same time. Like it's crazy.
yeah,
There's so much going on, but sometimes you hear a beat and you're like, man, that certain element is the only thing I can hear. Like there's so much going on, but that one element is just
yeah,
drowning all the other beauty out. Like
yeah.
the way that he crafted that matches your flow, your vibe, your voice perfectly.
Yeah.
Like it's
Nah,
just
yeah, it's a monster, man. I love that record. I'm glad we were able to put it together. He's crazy, man. Shout to my man Manipulator. He's wild, man. So not the first. We've worked in the past, but one of many. Not the first of many, but one of many. And it's only the beginning.
I love it. I love it. So someone was like, yo, what's up with the Apollo and Phil remix? Well, there's not going to be a remix for that, but there is a brand that I connected Skyzoo with that I want to plug real quick,
Yeah, please do.
because they're incredible. They're called Mathematics Athletics, and they came out with these style jerseys which highlight the different area that you represent from New York City. So this
Yeah,
is the one that's actually on its way to me right now, since I'm
nice.
from the Bronx. And we are going to be working with him to create a hip hop cipher of each person from a different area of New York representing their area. And they talked to Sky about being part of it. They spoke to me and Apollo about being a part of it. So that's going to be something coming in the pipelines a little bit later. But shout
Yeah.
out to those guys. I put their Instagram in there.
Man, they do
Fire.
incredible work, man. They sent me a care package. Of course, I got the best style joints. I got the best style jersey, the best style shorts. I got the good T-shirt with all the boroughs and neighborhoods on the back. Quality is A1, sizing, fitting, cut, everything, man. A1, man. Shout out to Mathematics. They're really, really killing it. I'm
Yep.
excited to be looped in with them. And thank you for that plug. Like I told you, man, on that text that we had, that three-way text,
Yep.
man, I had their page saved in my browser history because I was like, yo, I gotta go back to this. I saw it on the gram and I was like, yo, what's this? And I was like, yo, I gotta save this. I had it saved in my browser history. So when you hit me mentioning it without even saying their name, I was like, I bet you that's who I think it is. And it
Yep.
was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Nah.
yeah.
Yeah. When you told me, you were like, yo, bro, I got that saved. I was like, yo, it was perfect,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The
and it
stars
doesn't hurt
aligned.
that it's not just good merch. Like he's good people. Like he really
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
stand
He's
up
a great
dude.
dude. Great dude.
And I've told people before, if you go to their Instagram right now, do not be alarmed. You're gonna see a whole bunch of ugly green stuff. That's because he was from Boston, living in Boston. They did it first there, and which is why I'm excited to be on that cipher to show them actual what MCing is like from actual New York, because they did it in Boston, and I don't respect that.
Oh man.
The New York one's gonna be that much better. But let's go to the next player. All right, because we're talking about that past game, and I want to talk about right now someone that's got me a little bit concerned, because he's kind of gone ghost over these last few weeks. Was having some really, really good games, and then all of a sudden has been MIA. And we need him to be our bench scorer. Jordan Clarkson. Jordan
Yeah.
Clarkson has been sadly abysmal in these last few games. That last game, he went, 5 for 10, which was the best that he's done in a really, really long time. But the game before that was insane. I think he went 0 for 5 in like 18 minutes. But it's been issue after issue defensively as well with him, which has been even more concerning than his shooting. What do you think is going on with Jordan Clarkson? Because there's a lot of talks about people that are like, okay, if the Knicks don't look good, at the end of, by December 15th, when trades and stuff start happening and stuff like that, are these pieces that stay? Are these pieces that go? What are your thoughts on Jordan right now, Sky?
Yeah, I think it's just a little slump. It's the ups and downs of the league. I'm a Jordan Clarkson supporter, fan, in the sense of just over the years believing. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say like a Stan fan, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
yeah,
just
yeah.
over the years of seeing the talent, seeing what he's done in his different stops throughout his NBA journey. And he's always been a bucket. He's always been a walking bucket, a go-getter. There's the reason why we were all excited over the summer, right?
Yep.
We all saw that and was like, man, that's a guy with Indiana is kind of hitting us hard a little bit. He can go out there and before you know it, he got 10 to 12 to 14 points in no time, in a flash. He can go out
Yep.
there and just run it up a little bit, and give us a cushion. So I think that's still there, of course. I feel like he's a player that likes the lights. He does like the bright lights. He does like the MSGs. And, of course, some of those games that he's been having a rough outing have been at home. They've been at the
Yep.
crib. But I think he is a player that strives in those moments, even more so than MSG. I think MSG in April, May is when it's going to be like, oh, wow, so now we got to get there. So we need his help to continue to get there. But I think we're going to see the best version of him in the playoffs in a late April, early May. I think that's when we're going to see, he went ballistic. He dropped 23 last night. He went crazy off the bench, whatever. There was those moments back to back. He's a guy that likes that spotlight, man, from from the game to the fashion to the music. He's a guy that likes that spotlight. And I think that's when he's going to serve his best purpose. We just got to get there, and he got to help us get there. There's no excuse.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Apollo, on what you're seeing?
I mean, it's a slump. It's kind of what I expected. He's a streaky shooter. He's one of those kind of guys. He's of that, guys that have also won 6 Man of the Year, Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams. Like, they're one of those guys you don't want to get hot, but they also gonna go through those slumps where they can't hit anything. You know what I mean? And that happens. That's part of their game. You know what I mean? And like, he had 12 points last night. He started to get back in shape, but it was a struggle for a little while. But he just now passed Manu Ginobili. He's number 7 right now in NBA history in points off the bench. So I'd rather have that guy on my bench. You know what I mean? And like you said, it's December. It's December, and during the playoffs, I'm sure that's when he turns up. You know what I mean? At this point, he knows how to hit that button and stay on cruise control until you get over to April and May, and then you start to really turn it up. And that's what I'm looking for, because that's what we needed in the playoffs. We needed someone off the bench. We needed a little bit more punch off the bench. Like I said, every time a season starts, especially since we started getting to the playoffs consistently, now the regular season doesn't really hit me as much as it used to. Now I'm like, let's get back to the playoffs, man. That's the kind of basketball I'm looking for. So I think that's what we need him for. We need him for those playoff moments. And I think he'll come up big when the time is needed.
Yeah. No, that's good. Like, for me, Apollo knows this. Jordan Clarkson's a player for the last 3 years, in the offseason. I've been saying I want, and I can pull up old clips of people telling me that I'm a moron, like, why would you want it? And I'm like, bro, like, this is who I want. So when I was seeing some of these games early in the season, I was like, man, this guy, if he can be consistent, he can get back to that, 6th Man of the Year style, player that he once was, because I feel like this system fits him better than his last few years at Utah. And so I'm really hoping he bounces back. This guy, we don't need to talk much about him. We talked about him earlier in the show. But I do love that he was our player of the game for this last game, because he just was lights out. Jalen Brunson went 35 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 4 assists, 1 block, 68.4 field goal percentage. But the best stat for me was his 3-point percentage, because against Orlando, his 3-point percentage was absolutely horrible. It was 14% from 3. And then in this game, he went 66.7% from 3-point. That's where I go. I do not understand where people are not giving this guy superstar, recognition, because he is one of the few players that can give you stats like that and still make it look effortless. Like,
Yeah.
there are so many games where I finish and I'm like, I don't remember Jalen doing that. Like, I don't
It
remember
happens
him.
in a blip.
It does. And now even more in this system, and that's why I'm like, I'm praying that this team fully buys in, because in games like that, where you see that they're not resulting back to the Tibbs dribble the ball out of the air, like, way of doing offense, Jalen Brunson looks so effortless. Like, he can put up those kind of numbers without it having to look like it was a chore, or it was forced. Like, it just came so easy for him. And I love that about the new kind of offense. So we talked about Jalen earlier, but what are your thoughts, Sky, before we go to the next topic?
I mean, he's a monster without a doubt. He's proven it. He's proven it time and time again. I think the thing with him that is a reality and will never change is the chip on his shoulder. When you read his story and you watch his story about who he was, it's been underrated his whole life, undersized his whole life. So you can even tell, like, the way he carries himself. There's always kind of like he seems super cool, but he also seems a little jerkish, a little bit. You
Yeah.
can tell in interviews and stuff, right? And I think that's all from the chip. I don't think that's a testament to how he was raised. I don't think none of that. I think it's the chip. I think it's the, nah, you're not good enough for this little league team. Nah, you're not good enough for that. You're not tall enough for this. You're not. I think it's all the chip. Nah, your buddies are going who you drove the car for heads to win championships. At Villanova, your buddies are going in the first round, and the first 10, 15 picks, you're going second round when, during a commercial. I think it's all the chip, and I say all that to say the chip is not going anywhere. He's been in the league, what, 8 years now? The chip's not going anywhere. It fuels him. It's a real part of him. And that's why we're getting 66% from 3. That's why we're getting 30 points and don't realize it. That's why he's at a point now where when he gets to the hole and he throws up a floater, you're more surprised if he misses it than anything else. You're like, he's going to make that. All right, I can sit over here and pour another one of this First West because he's going to make that. I can turn my head. It's cool. You know what I mean? Like, and then you look back while you're like, oh, he missed that? Like, he's at that point. And when you get to that point, that's
a great point.
When you get to that point in your career of he's going to make it, okay, and, he took a shot, he's going to make it. What else is new? That's when it's real for you. That's when it's real.
Yeah. No, that's a great point, because when I'm watching it with my boys, it's the ball goes out of his hand and my boys already have it ready. Like,
you're right. Yeah, exactly. You know it. You know it's going to drop.
You see their 5-year-old and 7-year-old fingers just automatically.
Yeah, you know it's going to drop. You know it's going to drop.
Yeah. So I love that. All right. So before we go to the next song, we're going to do something that we do here called Nictionary. All right. This is where I put up a bunch of images that combine together to give you the name of a former or current New York Knicks player. So you got to piece the pictures together to figure out which player this is. All right. So this is today's episode of Nictionary. I encourage all of you in the chat to try to figure out if you can answer it before Apollo and Sky. But let's see what we got. So this is the image right here for you two.
That's cool. Oh boy.
So the key is to try to find 1 or 2 words that you feel like you know, and then try to put the rest of the pieces together.
Yeah, this is a doozy. I'm off this. I'm gonna have to tap out this. That one's rough.
Hold on. So, is that third one that's broke?
Similar, yeah. It's in along those lines.
Are we using these pictures to say a name?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Okay. I can't tell what that second one is. I think that's the one.
Yeah.
That's in New
I'm
York.
skipping that. I keep
I'll say
skipping that.
this: he was the it's someone that was in a band that was very, very popular in the early 2000s that to me were absolutely basura. But they were very, very popular in the grunge rock and roll
Early
scene.
2000s. Okay.
Chris. Oh, I got it. All
right, we're gonna hold up.
Because
Yeah,
that third
I don't
picture,
got it at all.
once you said the third picture isn't broke, but it's along those lines. Now I get it because that's poor,
Okay.
and that's the, once I said poor, I got the Chris. I was like, all right, I'm cool. Chris and poor.
I got you.
Yeah.
I
Chris
got you.
Chris Stapps was it. So wait. So what
Yep.
is the second one?
All right. So it's Chris for crisscross. This is the singer of that horrible band Creed, Scott Stapp. So Chris Stapp, poor. This is a zing. Your
Right,
mama
it's a
is so
zinger.
ugly. You plus me equals us. Chris Stapp's poor zing us.
Once you
Chris
said
Stapp's
poor, I
zing
got it because I was already on Chris.
Facts.
From Crisscross. So once you said Apollo, once you said poor, I got it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know who the second picture was, but the Chris and the poor, I got it. And then right away, I was like, oh, that's a zinger. He's dissing him. That's a zinger. And then you plus me, I was like, us. I was like, yeah. Once you said poor, I was in.
Yep.
I had to figure the pockets out. I had to skip that second one.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I still didn't know it until Phil said it. I just was able to dance around all the rest of it.
Right.
Yeah. No, good job. And shout out to Prezi. Prezi got it too. Mr. Lee Escobedo guessed it as well in the chat. Appreciate you both. All right, so let's go into this next song before we go into this upcoming game that we have, and then talk the last few topics of the night. So this right here, tell us a little bit about this song, Skyzoo. Pardon me.
So pardon me, yeah, it's a record. Shout out to my man Twami who did that beat. You know, when he sent me that beat, when I heard it, man, it was the idea that he flipped, right? And we use the word idea. We don't use the S word because we don't want, emails coming at us saying, hey, that, so the idea for all the producer heads out there that he flipped, the Jay-Z and Beanie Siegel, the daddy, where have you been? It's very emotional, it's melancholy, it's sad, it's angry, it's very slow, it's monotone, it's a real serious topic. It's about Jay-Z and Beanie Siegel not having their fathers in their lives and really just opining about that. And when he sent me this beat where he flipped the same idea sonically but turned it into what I call a knocker, just turn it into a joint where you could just go off and you could hear it blasting out of people's cars and funk flex freestyles for 5 minutes straight, just turn it into a knocker. I was like, yo, this is insane. Like, when people hear this, they're gonna be like, yo, he flipped that into this.
Yeah.
He took it from this side of the street to that side of the street. Wow. So I was like, I need this. Like, I gotta rock on this. And, for me, it's going off, but there's always a purpose, Bury me with a Sharpie, the same way you greeted me. Standing ovation, like you got a mausoleum me. You know what I mean? Standing mausoleum, so like bury me with a Sharpie, man. You know what I mean? The same way you greeted me. Being known as a guy who tags, being known as when I sign my autographs with a Sharpie, I tag. And then, a line I had in one of the first records I did with DJ Premier with Primo, Click with my bro Torre. I said, signing my contract with a Sharpie. So if you've been around since the beginning of my career, you know that line. I'm doubling back on that. I'm spinning back around on it. Bury me with a Sharpie, the same way you greeted me, So like I told y'all, this is what it is. And by the way, I did sign my first record deal with an actual Sharpie, living what I rap about. You know what I mean? So, it's that type of thing, man. So, it's one of them joints on this album, man, that just knocks and just goes. And then the lyricism, of course, is me doing what I do always. The doubles and the triples are all over the place. And we riding out. It's one of them joints, man, for sure.
I love it. I love it. So we're going to play it. Tell your peoples not to at me, not to flag this video on YouTube because we played too long of a song. So here we go. This is Pardon Me.
We had
be the same way you greeted me. Standing ovation like you got a mausoleum. Me all for the same ink that'll write you out the scenery. You lucky I'll be finding my way to find a decency. Know what I was up against before anyone seated me. Park bench, musical chairs made me a deity. Follow how you feel, but the chariot got a low jack. Lockjaws crowded my lobby, ducking the Kodak. It be hard to understand, but I leveled to some. Me speaking the double meanings got me second to none. And all the idols who inspired you is dead on they run from off a target and the markets they can never become. I answer the bat signal that they put in the air and get them sounding back to normal like I took their veneers. The man child in the promised land who left off the stairs and wrote everything 2 for 1 like it's better in pairs. Like where we at? Yo, you gotta pardon me. I knew that how y'all act. I was cut more godly and jumping out the pack on whatever that call be. Bet I'ma react like I'm moving at God's speed. That young and where we at? Yo, you gotta pardon me. I knew that how y'all act. I was cut more godly and jumping out the pack on whatever that call be. Bet I'ma react like I'm moving at God's speed. Like BAM! In the middle of a heavenly run for hell's sake. Doing God's work to the sound of a shell case. If heavy is the head when the crown gets set in place, then you copping the dub is proof of me selling weight or fabric. Overcharging for what y'all did to Mark Jackson. Observe it like the Sabbath. All praise due like the Juma. Cause they be ducking 12 in my Uma. They talking allegiance. I'm talking reading the final call on the way to Freaknik. I'm in and out the deep end. I'm in and out the sequence. Apologies for the dichotomy I bees in. I'm still trying to tweak shit. All for your convenience. My talk BDK. My plate is crown fried. My denim is PBJ. The shepherd leading the way to your dope binge. And slide like left eye on Donnell Jones shit. Like, ayo, where we at? Yo, you gotta pardon me. I knew that how y'all act. I was cut more godly and jumping out the pack on whatever that call be. Bet I'ma react like I'm moving at God's speed. That young and where we at? Yo, you gotta pardon me. I knew that how y'all act. I was cut more godly and jumping out the pack on whatever that call be. Bet I'ma react like I'm moving at God's speed. Like my corner was.
I love it. I love it. That's fire.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate
good,
it,
bro.
man. Appreciate it. Salute to everybody in the chat. Much love to y'all.
All right, so I gotta ask you, in the length of your career, the multiple albums you put out, what is the best feature that you've enjoyed of yours? Like what was the feature?
On one of my albums?
Yeah, one of your albums and then on one of somebody else's.
On one of my albums, I would say on Music for My Friends, when me and Jadakiss did See a Key. For me, I grew up a giant Lox fan. I still am.
Yep.
I feel like the Lox is the greatest group of all time. They're my favorite rap group ever. And so me getting that record with Jadakiss, you know, it meant the world to me, you know what I mean? And really doing it with him, you know, really going to Yonkers, the D Block, and being with him and Styles and all of them. And shout out to my man Skyzoo, shout out to my man Rome, who facilitated that. And, you know, getting that record with Kiss, that was full circle, because when I was 14, you couldn't tell me nothing about Kiss. And right now at 42, you can't tell me nothing about Kiss. You know what I mean? So, like, for me, it was, you know, 14-year-old me would be screaming, going crazy. Like, yo, we got a record with Jadakiss. You know what I mean? So, like, I would say See a Key. I've done 2 records with Styles, so there's the same sentiment there with the 2 records I've done with SP, the Ghost. You know, very, very good friend and OG who's always there for me. You know what I mean? So it would be those types of moments, man. Me and Kiss together, when the verse was done and I was playing it back for the first time, I was like, wow, you got a Kiss joint, you know, because it was more so about me being a kid and checking that off. It was more so me hearing the Lox as a teenager in high school, 9th grade, 10th grade, all those years. And I got a line I said back in, you know, my freestyle days. I said, you know, 14, I was underneath the block, thought Jadakiss was Jesus. I just wanted to be the Lox. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, I really did. I was like, yo, Kiss is Jesus, B. Like, ain't nobody playing with Jason Phillip. You crazy? Like, you know, so I mean, to the point every year on his birthday, because, you know, we cool. So every year on his birthday, I text him. I text his phone. I say, yo, happy birthday, superhero. You know what I mean? You still my superhero. You know what I mean? And he always hit me right back. Yo, Scott, thank you, bro. Da-da-da-da-da. And every year, like clockwork, yo, superhero, happy birthday. You still my superhero, bro. Cape on, flying through the air. You know what I mean? So I would say me and Kiss.
Yeah, I love that because, like, let's be real. You know, like, musically, they were always beats and rhymes, even when they got commercial, even when they got, signed and they had to put out like 1 or 2 songs like If You Think I'm Jiggy,
Right.
like whatever.
They
But
still them. They still them.
they were still them. And it's like, I love that because they didn't forget that just because they got that big Diddy deal. They didn't, they
Right.
didn't forget the beats and rhymes MC from where they're from, and so
Yeah.
the fact that like you guys have that relationship shows that it's not, oh, bright lights came, they forgot who they were, like they're
Nah, never
still
that.
those same
Never
guys.
that. They're the
And I
realest.
love
They're
that.
absolutely the realest for sure.
And I
That's
love
fine.
that. The only thing that hurt me at all was someone posted today a flashback memory of Meth, ODB, and was it Raekwon?
Raekwon and RZA. It was the ODB son.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
the Knicks joint. Yeah, the
Yeah,
KD
the
joint.
Knicks joint trying to get
Yeah.
Kevin Durant to come to New York. And
You know
just
what's
because it's like,
crazy? Man, when I saw that today, I was like, yo, I never saw this before. Like, what
I
is
never
this?
saw it
Like,
Right.
either.
Yeah.
and then when the video I saw after it was Pablo Torre interviewing Meth, and it broke down the story behind it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why I never saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They buried it. Like no one was supposed to see it.
Nobody was supposed
How
to
it
see
got out, I don't know, but no one was, because I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like I'm a Nick guy, I'm a Nick Twitter guy. Like,
Yep.
what? Like, how did I miss this when everything that Madison Square Garden was doing that year was to get him to come to New York? So it was like, how did I miss this? But then when I saw the video, I felt better. I was like, oof, all right, cool.
And that's how I
Slipping,
felt because
Like,
because I saw it today and kind of like you were, with like Jada, like for me, one of my favorite MCs of all time has been Meth, like
Yep.
since day one, like the 36 Chambers was my time, when I was in love with hip hop. And then Tikal, and when him and Mary J created that song, and I was like, yo, you can actually get commercial success, but still keep it as real as it can come, like to me was like the level. So when I saw Meth, like pretty much pouring his heart out to try to get Kevin Durant here, I was like, what?
And he killed
this?
it, by the way. He
He
killed
did.
it. You know what I
He went
mean?
crazy.
Like,
But I was like, how did I not see this? He shouted out
Yeah.
Mitchell Robinson in a verse, like,
yeah, he was like
Yeah.
Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and Dennis Smith Jr. That was the only thing. It reminded me of where we were as a roster at that time.
Right.
And I was like, that's why he ain't come here.
That's
you know?
why he-
Like,
Right.
Reminder, it was like when he shouted them out, and he killed the verse too, man.
Mhm.
Shout out to Meth, man. Meth is a homie of mine. I actually just spoke to him the other day. He's a friend of mine, a homie of mine, and somebody who shows nothing but love. Every time my name get brought up, he starts going on and on about how he feels about me and giving me flowers. So, that's an honor. We got our joint, The Workload, that came out last year. And that was another one of those moments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Meth is one of them guys. So I'm listening, I'm watching the video, I'm listening to the joint. And when he said, we got Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, and Dennis Smith, I was like, that's why he didn't come here.
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
You
And
know what I mean?
I was like,
that
whoa,
was the roster he was going to walk into at the time. I was like, that's why he ain't come here. All right, you know what I mean?
I felt the same way you felt too, Phil, because it was like, yo, that's like you said, Skyzoo, like that was to me, that's like, of course, Locks is right up there with you, but to me, Wu-Tang is like my number one
guy. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a Wu guy, and Capadonna is my favorite out of all of them. People don't ever say Capadonna when they're like, oh, you must be the real Wu-Tang fan if you talking about Capadonna. But for real, like I still bump the Pillage to this day. So when I heard that, I'm like, yo, like where was this at? And it just gave me that nostalgic feeling. And I'm like, damn, like the fact that they really went that hard.
They all killed the verses.
They all killed the verses.
Yeah, the Ray verse, the Gold verse, the Ghost verse, Meth, the Ray jacket. I was like, oh, he got a good jacket on. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, I never saw this before. You know what I mean? I thought it was new until like in the beginning. I was like, yo, is this for Giannis? You know what I mean? Because it looked new. They all looked the same. And then when Ghost said in a pair of KDs, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that gave it away right there. He would have shouted out KDs.
I caught it when I saw KD's like Rucker Park, like clips, where he was playing in the Rucker.
I caught it. I caught it kind of early when he was like, yo, in a pair of KDs. I was like, wait a minute, this ain't
why
about
you talking about KD?
And then I was like, hold up. I was like, this is is bugged out, and then it
Yeah.
just started unraveling.
Yeah. That joke was crazy. No, I appreciate it, man. I love that. I love that you have those connections with those guys. Like I said, Jada is leaps and bounds one of the best MCs to ever do it.
Without a doubt.
Meth to me, like when it comes to cadence and
Another one, without a doubt. Another one.
his voice, always did it
Meth
for
is
me.
a
I was just
monster,
like,
and when I tell you the coolest dude you could ever meet, build with, vibe with, work with, be around, hang with, the coolest, the absolute
I love that.
coolest.
I love that. First time I've been jealous in my Knicks fandom, so I appreciate you bringing that out.
Cap is cool too. Me and Capadonna did a festival together in South Africa in Johannesburg a couple of years back. So we was together like that whole week or whatever. Yeah, Cap is super cool too.
That's fine.
Ghost,
That's
Ray.
awesome.
The first tour I ever did in my life as an MC was with Ghost. You know what I mean? Like talk about rookie year being a rookie on the Warriors after they won a chip. You know what I mean? Like my first time on the court touring was with Ghost. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
I toured with Ghost, and while I was on the tour, I got the call that said, "Yo, when this tour is over, you're gonna go home for a week, and then you're gonna tour with Ray." And I was like, "All right, bet." So it was back to back. You know what I mean? It was Ghost and then Ray. And that was my first 2 tours ever in the game. You know what I mean? So I had to come out swinging real fast, real early.
right. Work.
I love it.
That's real.
And you're still here, so you succeeded.
Oh,
I love
absolutely. That. Nah, you know it, man. You know
All right.
it.
So let's talk a little bit about this Orlando game coming up. Like how we fare, in this cup game. How we think we're gonna do. We didn't look as good as I wanted to in that last game against them. And Franz is no longer gonna be there. So that kind of helps us there, but we also don't have Miles McBride, which makes it hard for us defensively against their bench who can score.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have it, go around while Apollo gives his take. Sky, if you want to text me another song, I'm down to play another one after we talk about the Orlando.
Yeah, I emailed a couple joints, so check your email. Okay. I sent them, a little bit before we got on.
Okay, cool. So I'll download one right now. Apollo, this upcoming game.
Listen, man, I think we have a chance, of course, because obviously it's a little bit without France. Like you mentioned earlier, when they have just Paolo there and it's not France, they play different. They don't really play as fluent because the ball goes through him a lot, and I don't know, it's weird how much different of a player that they are, but when they're together, they play really well. But when they're there alone, it seems as though France fares a little bit better than Paolo. But I think it's as long as we come out and we do exactly what we're supposed to do, they're gonna play us physical. We got to know that if we go in there with that energy, expecting that, then we should be fine. And you also got to know how to combat it. But the thing about these cup games is everybody is looking for money now. Like it's money's on the line. So you got guys that's coming off the bench that's gonna go harder than they would in any other regular season game. So you know what I mean? Like it's not really a game plan kind of thing as much as you would expect. Like you just got to come out and be ready to fight for 48 minutes. You know what I'm saying? So as long as they do that, I think they got a chance. They should be good on Saturday, especially without France there. They got to take advantage. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Skyzoo?
For me, I'm tired of playing Orlando. I feel like we done played them 20 times this year. Every time I look, they got them Temu Magic jerseys on. You know what I'm saying? Every time I look, I'm like, come on, man, get the Temu team out of here, man. I'm tired of playing Orlando, but in all seriousness, just that's when I talk about moments in the Knicks season, it's like you always have those games that you look back on and you like, that was one we let slip. That was what, like in the moment, they don't seem like much early in the season. It's like, it's only, early November. It's only Thanksgiving, whatever it may be. But come early April, you looking back and you like, we let that one go. We let that one. And I feel like that about a couple of them Chicago games. And I feel like that about a couple of these Orlando games. It's like, those are the ones you got to get. I understand people wanted to push Orlando at the top of the list, once all the injuries happened in the finals and the playoffs last year and everything. Like, the East is going to be wide open and Orlando's going to be one to reckon with. I think Paolo is incredible. I think he's a monster. Outside of that, I really don't have no faith in that team. Not that I'm supposed to, because that's not my team, but, I really don't care much about what they think they can do. They're not a team that scares me, but at the same time, proof is in the pudding, and they've already won the season series, right? Even if we win this one, they've already still won the season series. So I'm just tired of playing them. You know what I mean? Like it's like you mentioned earlier with Wendell Carter Jr. You know, some teams get a bad confidence with them when it comes to playing other teams. And there's certain teams that get up for us. You know, I think Indiana obviously is one when you know, when Hallie is there, when Miles Turner was there. It's like we're not afraid of y'all. You know, it's one of them
Yeah.
things. Like Indy's not afraid of us, right? Or they weren't
Yeah.
when they had their full roster. Orlando is one of them teams now after these wins this season. They're not really afraid of us, you know, and that's what you don't want on the other side of the coin. You don't want to be the team that side is not afraid of, you know. And heads like Orlando get up for us, and I'm tired of playing them just because I'm like, oh, come on, man. We just played y'all the other day, and then the day before, and the day before. Like, give me some, you know what I mean? Let me play, you know, play Houston or somebody. I won't play y'all again, you know what I
Right,
mean? But,
right.
you know, we all of those reasons we got to come with it because there's 2 Orlando losses and 1 Chicago loss that I'm like, both of those, that was stupid. That was stupid. You
And the
know, we should
Miami
not
one
have
in
gone
there
that way.
too. There's a
And
Miami
that
one there.
Miami, absolutely, that Miami joint. It's like, yo, these were stupid, right? So now you could be a 58 win team or 56 win team, and now you're gonna be looking back at these games, and there may be more of them later this year. So now you're a 48 win team, or 50 win. It's like this could have been different. Now this home court advantage and top seed, all that is in jeopardy because of these little small games that you was laughing at after you lost. You know, like that was light.
Right.
It's heavier in March, in March and April, you know. So we gotta just, be on that type of time and have good memories. Meaning we remember what happened to us last week. We have good memory of what happened to us last week or the week before, and now we get it back on them. That's where we need to be.
Facts. Oh, your mic doing it again, bro.
Check.
Here you go.
Here you go.
All right. I think if I don't talk for a certain amount of time, this mic just
Kind of
puts it on
clips out.
pause. Yeah. Still learning this one. But I agree. You know, I feel like every time my boys are like, "Who are we playing tonight?" I'm like, "Orlando." You know, like I feel like I've said
I won't
those
see them
words
play
too
no
many
more.
times this season. But it's been crazy because it's like I feel like we've been a different team every time we've played them, and that's crazy. You know, like if we can just be consistent with it. You know, we got a Magic fan in here and he's talking about, you got to get through Magic's defense, and sometimes I want to push back when I have fans from other fan bases, but he's right. Like if you look at the defensive rating, they're a higher defensive rated team than we are. They can stop, teams offensively, more than we can stop teams offensively, and so I think to me, it's kind of a benefit that it's Banchero as opposed to Franz because Franz has cooked us, more than Banchero has. I like Banchero. I think he's a good player. But I think that his play style is very similar to what Julius Randle's was when he was with the Knicks. And so we have experience of what that play style is like because our guys have played with a player that he's kind of the prototype of. And so it gives us a little bit more insight in his game as opposed to Franz, who's just a skilled player from top to bottom. He can shoot the 3, he can drive it, he can, hit the mid-range, he can stop you defensively, he can get the assist. He's more of an overall player than just a bucket getter that Banchero is. So I think that we kind of fare better in that. And I think it comes down to who plays better defense, to be honest, in this game. I think that if we don't play them from 3, we've allowed guys like Anthony Black to go off from 3 on us. You got to stop him. You got to stop him. Yes, he's a feisty young guy and he's got a ton of energy, but that's not an excuse. Like take your breaks, take your breathers when the game is over. Give it all while you're out there because if not, they can start torching us. So I think we got to watch out with them. I think we got to be smart when it comes to the kind of passes that we give, because a lot of times these little handoffs are very lackluster and we're kind of just like passing it without really looking, making sure that it's a good pass. And Jalen Suggs is the kind of guy that can pick that off. He's one of the best, defenders when it comes to steals in the league for a reason when it comes to guards, because he's crafty like that. So I think we got to pay attention to that. And I think if we do that, we win, but it's one of those things that the way our team is constructed, in these big games, you need both Cat and Brunson to show up. Like one of them can't take the night off. In big games like this, they both have to show up. We can't play these teams like we're play the Washington Wizards. Like we can't do that. We got to play these teams like they matter, and then it causes a win for us. Like my guy Lee says right here, force the Magic to start the action late in shot clock with full court pressure and play a high rate zone mixed in switching when they go big. Yeah, it's all in how you play them defensively. And they have a lot of different players that can score. So you can't just take time off, and that's where, guys like Cat, you don't have to be the best defender in the world, but don't stop playing defense. I don't need you to be the best, but don't stop. I don't want to see replays of your guy passing you by like it's nothing. Like make it hard for them, So I think that we do come away with the W, but I don't think it's going to be easy. That's my thought on that. But let's go into another song before we talk about the next game that's after that. What's a song that you would want me to play? Tags at MoMA or The Wager? Let's do The Wager because Ricky was talking about how that was his favorite song on the album.
Okay, let's do it.
Shout out to Ricky. Like he didn't tell me anything about like him listening to your music beforehand or anything like that. So I thought that was really cool to find out that Ricky from 15 Stars in Louisville, Kentucky is jamming out to some Skyzoo. I love it. So here's The Wager.
What's the wager? What's the wager? What's the wager? What's the wager? Yeah. Yo. Don't mind me, I'm over-minded. My only mistake was believing and coinciding. How they wanna talk a parade but don't know the climate. My heroes told me army fatigues had open lining. It ain't hard to tell. The rewind button was talking braille, so you scrolling back on your phone is how you caught the trail. Follow the leader for everything that you start to feel, until it's time for your heart to get in the car for real. Running down on the spirit of everyone who shot the spirit out of us. Like yo, hit the lights, make mama proud of us. Riding forth and back, or make a slum out of your village. You try to sympathize until you run out of forgiveness. Like if we gon' be in this, then we coming by the pillage. Knowing privilege is not in the barcode. My For You page is Alan Payne in the CB4 Escape, where by default my screen on dark mode. Like throwing your war clothes, suited in the name of survival. 14 like a 97 Averex model. Aim it tomorrow and roll up like we been there. Fill up a bench, empty a Philly in the thin air. But they said to forget there. Treat it like a view of the past, till you look at the ones who saying it like you wouldn't last. Knowing most let it ride and then overstay they welcome, but overlooked it all cause they just hope they stay to help them. Double down knowing how you wanted more stardom, playing with people's lives like dollar store condoms. Some more weight at the bottom, how the pendulum moves. When I lose, I grew up seeing my friends on the news, and your stripes is forever, numbers is come and go though. Put the money first and regret it like Juan Soto. The run never seemed so far, and that's how they rope you. Trying to find the digits on a square like Sudoku. That was the focal, the point taken that they owed you. Long as you make sure they always treat you like they know you. All said and done, know I done it for the hopefuls. GQ at the rough house, the king of the locals. Bucket low like fuck.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, he was snapping, bro.
That Juan Soto line, bro.
Yeah,
regret it
like Juan Soto.
It was crazy,
bro. Shout out to you for that. Shout out to all you Mets fans.
Oh man, all my Mets fans home. Yo, how you gonna say that? How you gonna say that, man?
Because the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding.
It's the truth, man. You know.
That was great. I love that.
It's crazy.
Great song.
Yeah.
All right. So
who produced that? Who produced that one right there?
Favorite episode.
That was my man Cartoon Beats. He did the joint with me and Meth from last year, the workload, me and Method Man.
Okay.
And he's he's like Lloyd Banks' in-house producer, so he does a lot of records for Banks and all that. So you know, we've worked for a while now, and that's the homie, man. Great dude, great producer. He sent me a pack, and I was like, yeah, I heard that one, and I was like, bro, that's it. I was like, I'm on that.
I
You know
love
what I
this.
mean?
No,
And
no kick and snare. That's just
yeah, one of the drumless
going
joints.
off.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
One of the drumless joints. I just
yeah.
came down here to the basement and got off. You know?
That's fire.
Yeah, that junk was crazy. I love that. You know what was really cool is, like he was saying, a lot of times for an interlude, something like that works, you know, but when it goes too long, you can get kind of bored, you know, with the sequence. If the beat doesn't drop, you're waiting for the beat to drop because you lost
Yeah.
interest. But on this one, it was like each and every line kept you just intrigued in what
Keep
you
it
were
going.
saying.
The train
Like,
keep rolling, baby. Train keep
crazy.
rolling. That's it.
Crazy. I love it. I love it. All right.
Thank
So
you.
so let's talk this before we go into the next song. Let's say we get past the Magic. Then we got OKC. OKC is on a tear. Like
Yes.
watching them is kind of just crazy to watch, you know, like to be honest, it's crazy to watch. Because it honestly doesn't make sense sometimes what they're able to do to teams. You know, the fact that they almost won by 50 last night, you know, like, yes, there was no Devin Booker, so I would understand like a 20-25 point win, but still a 50 point, you know, blowout, you know, it is crazy. And so for me, you know, I was in, you know, some of the Knicks Twitter communities today, and we were kind of talking about it, and everyone's got different views on it. But for me, the only way that we can win that game, in my opinion, is if Cat fully shows up. Like if it relies on Jalen Brunson heroics, we can't win. Like with their height, with their defensive depth, you know, like every single player on their team is a defender. You know, like we get ecstatic that we have Mikhail and OG that are both two-way players, but all of their guys are two-way players, you know? So unless Cat fully shows up and is aggressive, but also wise defensively, I don't think we have a chance. But if he shows up and he plays defense the way that he played against the Raptors, but has a better offensive night than he had against the Raptors, I think we have a chance. The other hard thing is we're without Miles McBride now, which is a pivotal defender for us off the bench. So what are your guys' thoughts on us versus OKC in that final cup game if it happens?
Well, it goes back to what I was saying a few questions ago, a few topics ago, rather, where I talked about those games against the Orlandos and the Chicagos and all that. This is why you got to win those games, because these games, there's a very high probability of you losing, and that's okay. You know what I mean? You talking about a team that's what, 24-1? You talking about a team won 16, 17 straight. You lose against those guys is cool. It's to be expected. That's the cushion you have when you beat Orlando every night, when you beat Chicago every night, when you beat Miami in those games and not let Norm Powell look like George Gervin. You know what I mean? So, like, that's why you got to get those games. Because when you play in Orlando, when you play, you know, one of these teams that literally have lost 1-2 games all year, then it's okay. Because you're right, man. It's going to be real hard to beat them. I don't think they sweating us like that. I don't think they're going to look at us and feel like, uh-oh, it's the Knicks. Even though we the number 2 team in the East, even though we're looked at as real deal, I don't think they're going to look at us and shake a little bit. I think they're going to be like, all right, let's get this over with, you know, because they are that strong right now.
Yeah.
This isn't the Pistons, who have a similar record, but it's a surprise because they have no veteran presence. They don't have any real superstars outside of Cade. They just got some nice role play, and they just believe. They're very David and Goliath. So they're still running off a high. With OKC, it's like, all right, another day at the office. What else is new? You know, so I think they're going to run through it. I'm always going to look for us to win. I'm always going to put my money on us, but I'm realistic like you are, Phil, and I'm just like, it's going to be a tough one. This is why you don't lose them small games, because when these games pop up, it's real life. It's real deal.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I mean, it's that they just won a championship, man, and
you know,
yeah, I mean, like that's not a team that you look at and be like, yeah, man, we should be all right. Like, nah, bro, like we gotta come with it, like from jump ball. Like to me, that team, like first of all, you got to make them guard us all game long. Like they you can't give them no breaks at all.
Yeah.
Because let them conserve energy. Because like you said earlier, Phil, they're a two-way team. Each one of those guys are two-way players, basically. So you got to make them work on both ends, drain that energy down, so that by the fourth quarter, you might have a couple minutes where you don't got to worry about them hitting shots. Like you got to make them miss at a certain point as well. Like that is the chances that we have of winning. It's a very small window we have of winning, but we can. There's a chance of it happening. I'm not gonna say act like we can't. We just have to do what the job. Like we have to do exactly what we're supposed to do to make them win. But you got to expect that. You got to expect them to hunt Cat on defense. You got to expect them to hunt Jalen. You're gonna get a lot of those switches on Jalen, and you're gonna see Shy with Jalen in the post. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just gonna happen. That's just how they know how to hunt that. So you gotta be ready for everything that they throw at you. You gotta play a 48-minute, like I told you earlier before we even came on here. I was like, I like how we play. I said my problem every night is can we do it for 48 minutes? And that's it. 48 minutes. And if we could play like the game we played against Toronto, of course it's not Toronto we're playing against, but I'm talking about the intensity, the confidence, the energy. If you play like that for 48 minutes, chances are at the end you give yourself more of a chance to actually win that game. Yeah. And then if you make them work on both ends, hopefully they tired. They got, some weak legs at the end of the game. They miss some shots. And, we might be able to win the game. It might be a 1 and 2 point win. But at the end of the day, that's what it's going to take to beat that team. That team is that good.
Yeah. And, like some people think that I'm like negative because I try to be completely like unbiased and realistic. Like just because I'm a fan doesn't mean I don't watch everything. Like I'm watching what OKC is doing, and no, they're not playing the greatest of teams, but either have we this season. We've both had pretty light schedules, but where we're having games that we're losing, they're having games where they're blowing teams out by 20-30 points a night. So the way we're beating these or losing to these average teams is different, like very different, And so for me, the problem is I'm not going to look at a Toronto game that didn't have RJ and Emmanuel Quickly, two of their top scorers, and go, oh, but we played OKC great defensively. We're going to be able to do that. I mean, the Raptors great defensively. We're going to be able to play OKC defensively. Well, no, they were missing two of their top scorers, and one of their top scorers shot 16% from three. So it was pretty much the Knicks versus Brandon Ingram that game. And we were at pretty much full health minus Miles McBride. And so I don't want to look at it the same. I want to look at it as is. Toronto doesn't have the defenders that OKC has, so a lot of times when we go back to old ways and go back to ISO, there are times that it can work for us. A lot of times it doesn't, but there are times that it can work for us. But OKC is not the kind of team that you go back to an ISO style basketball. Why? Because if Brunson and SGA are going one-on-one, SGA has the vertical capabilities to stop Jalen Brunson. And if it's a switch, all those guys, even though they're big, are still super agile. You can still get their 4 and 5 who can still guard a point guard, So you got to be careful of that, relying on, okay, well, if we need to, Jalen can go heroic style. No, I don't want Jalen to go heroic style. Like if we result to Jalen having to go heroics, it's because we already lost the game. Like this is the kind of game that every single person in our starting lineup, from Jalen Brunson to Josh Hart to Kat to Mikhail and OG, have to be on their top of the game in order for us to compete. Like if all 5 of our guys are not at their best, then we're not competing. Like we're
Without
not.
a doubt.
Without
a doubt.
So that's my thought on that game. Like, obviously I don't want to get my teeth kicked in, I'm a Knicks fan, I got a good friend that's an OKC fan that as soon as the game's done, no matter if it's at midnight or 1:00 in the morning, he's going to text me and rub it in my face, Like I don't want that, but I want to be realistic too and not go in and be like, Knicks got this. Like, okay, based off what, what makes you think that the Knicks got this? You know, what game have we won this year that makes you think, you know, that it's in the bag to play against OKC? I haven't seen it yet, you know. So before we go into the last talks, which are the trades and the possible things that have recently come up from Ian Begley today, I'm gonna play one more song from the album, and this one is The Devotion. What's this one about, Skyzoo?
The Devotion, produced by my man Conductor Williams. It's shout out to my man Conductor. He's on fire right now. And this is me just getting into the depths of that story I talked about, looking back on what was and what you was thinking about and how you saw things going, you know, and where they wound up and the highs and lows of that. And the fact that there's more highs than lows when it comes to that, even if you don't realize it in the moment. But all of this that we've won, all of this that we've gotten, all of this that we've achieved is off of devotion and being devoted, you know? So, me and Conductor on the joint, the writer and the conductor. Let's do it.
I love it. Let's go. Here we go. This is Devotion.
Conductor. The writer and the conductor, a pen and a baton, her rifle tucked by the shutters, thumbing the Quran with a Jesus piece in a duffel. Duck down alumni, I got signed cause of ruckus, with a bowl of Apple Jacks in my living room. Sights on a Carter with a Pookie to get us through. He said it himself, I follow suit like an interview. The neighbors throwing hands upstairs made the ceiling move. My crib was 18F by the incinerator. When Brenda had a baby, my crush wanted to imitate her. Same way we saw preacher kids turned into gator. Same way that I could put your fave on a ventilator. I purify all of this and still reroute to where the brink's at. Heaven in a Ferrero, chocolate tie shrink wrap. In front of the school, blowing beaties out the pink pack. Out through the bracelet, had the extra link that devoted for me and mine, the way you know it. Run back for me and mine until it's over. Run back for me and mine, shoulder to shoulder. Run back, keep that in mind. You chalk it up to devotion for me and mine, the way you know it. Run back for me and mine until it's over. Run back for me and mine, shoulder to shoulder. Run back, keep that in mind. You can chalk it up to 718 kid, but raised on Willie Burger energy. So abstract rap won't ever interest me. Pressure bust pipes and bubbles and what you think of me. The thought of me could help them bubble coincidentally. But get to my school days, turning my people on my jury out with toothpaste. Nice enough to make the loop wait. And so me announcing a new tape is 99 Garcelle Bouvet. Perfect. If you been around us, then we relate. The TDK get louder than TD Jakes, and you playing in a way on this side to get you lost. But never mind, you probably still eat pork. I'm product and hidden flaws. Yo, everything is a step away. The trail waiting for all that was set in place. Like when Chubb Rock was shouting out me and my friends, and superheroes flew around us in a CLS Benz off of devotion for me and mine.
Yo, that was insane.
Yeah,
That's the first time that I heard that one, bro. Like, as someone that is in the church, you know, like devout Christian, that TD Jakes line had me dying louder than TD Jakes. But I think my favorite line on there was "My Brenda had a baby." You know, like I love the, you know,
when Brenda had a baby, my crush wanted to imitate her. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just saying, you know, like. Because my crib, I said my crib was 18F by the incinerator. So I'm just playing with words there because you know Brenda had a baby. She threw the baby down the incinerator. I don't know if y'all know the story of the kid who was Brenda's baby who Pac wrote about.
I was going to ask you because I listened to a podcast about it recently, like the history of the child and the mom getting reunited. Like being in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, and it's funny, he reached out to me because he's a fan. He was following me for a while, you know what I mean? So he reached out to me. So it was dope, man. He like DM'd me and all that. And I was like, oh, man, you know, shout to you, salute to you on your journey. He was like, man, I've been listening to you since, you know, 08, 09, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So it's real. Crazy. But yeah, just playing with the words because growing up in the P's and the Jecks, my crib, my apartment was next to the incinerator. You know what I mean? My door was closest to the incinerator. So just playing with words, you know, my crib was 18F by the incinerator. Speaking of incinerators, when Brenda had a baby, when that was going on, my crush wanted to imitate her, meaning the girl that I had a crush on as a little kid when Brenda was a baby was popping. This was a fast project, hood chick. She was thinking in that same, you know, similar growing up too fast type thing. You know what I'm saying? So just playing with words together. When Brenda had a baby, my crush wanted to imitate her. Those are the girls that we had a crush on in my neighborhood. The same way we saw preacher kids turn into Gator. The same way that I could put your fave on a ventilator. I purify all of this. If you know Jungle Fever, Preacher, his last name, Gator last name was Purify. The Preacher was the father, and Gator Samuel Jackson, his last name was Purify. So the same way we saw Preacher kids turn into Gator, they became Gator, crackhead, fiend, whatever. The same way that I can put your favorite on a ventilator, I purify all of this. His last name was Purify. I'm talking about purifying the game, the ventilator, clearing you out. So it's all just these doubles and triples that become Legos and hold hands and connect to one
I
another. You
love
know
it.
what I mean?
I love it. It's crazy because I feel like you could create a what's that platform that you pay for to have like separate classes with people that want to like learn from you.
Oh man, yeah. What is not? Oh man, yeah. I see it. Not TED Talks. I see it though. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about because I'm on the email list. Yeah. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah. I
about.
feel like you could have one of those classes for your albums and just break down each song,
Oh, without a
because
doubt. Every
there's so
song.
much complexity.
Not to be funny, man. To y'all in the chat who know or don't know, every line on every song is like that. My entire catalog. Like we could spend 20
Everything.
minutes on each song. You know what I mean? I could
You,
sit
you,
here and
you know what's funny? As someone who loves battle rap, sometimes I'll watch battle rap. I'm like, after every line, they're like, every line. And I'm like, you didn't say anything in those last four. What do you mean
Nah.
every line? Like, you're
right.
getting gassed. But like when you say it, it's actually true.
Oh
Like
no,
in
we could
those
go
four
every
bars,
line,
you
man.
just
We could
broke
go
down movie
every line.
references, song references, actual life, where you lived. It all was
Pop culture
encompassed in those
references and
four
how they
lines.
relate to real life and how, yeah, all that. Every single line. We literally could do that on every. It's not hyperbole. It's not uh gassing. It's not exaggerating. It's literally every line we can do that with.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
that was my favorite, and as well as the soloist as well.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. As soon as I heard the conductor, I'm like, oh yeah, this is different because that's you usually hear that with Griselda, that's that sound. So it was like
Yeah.
when I heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait to hear what he do with this one. This is gonna be crazy. That was fire.
Yeah. Thank you.
Fire.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. All right. So before we close out, I want to talk about these two topics. One that's not going away. Every single person continues to post when it comes to the different people that are the different people that have the ins of the NBA, of what's happening with trade talks and everything like that. They all continue to say that Giannis has other options that he would be interested in. It says, again, in doing the Giannis story and talking to people around the league, Miami was suggested to me as a place Giannis would really love to land if it's not New York. So the common theme and the common story all throughout the league is that Giannis wants to come to New York. What are your guys' thoughts on that? We entertain. Is it something that we should forget? Like, what are your guys' thoughts when it comes to this whole, Giannis wants to be in New York?
Well, I think for one, it's something that I predicted like 2 seasons ago, without a doubt. I predicted it when Julius was still here. I predicted it. Just seeing how everyone was playing and knowing who Leon Rose is, not knowing him personally. I've met him before, had dinner with him
Yeah,
once,
yeah.
but don't know him personally. But just knowing who he is and what he was brought here to do. I was like, that's gonna be the play. Even once we got Cat, it was like that's still gonna be the play. I remember last season at the end of the playoffs when the Bucks got knocked out. The very next day, there was video of him in Union Square with his wife, with his pregnant
Yep.
wife.
Mhm.
There was no, the next day, clean out your locker, get your shampoo and body wash out of there, get your slides out of there. There was no exit meeting. It was, he's in Union Square with his wife. And it was like, what? Or they just lost like 10 hours ago.
Mhm.
That's when I knew it was a real thing. Before it was breaking news, Giannis is entertaining. I was like, he's out of there and he's coming to New York. 24 hours later, less than 20, and he's in New York. You got the whole summer to come. People say, yo, what's New York? You want to be? Yeah, New York's the greatest city in the world. You got the whole summer to get to New York. 24 hours later, you blew. You was in New York. Nah, something's up. So I wasn't surprised at that. It is one of those things that is going to have to be delicate. It's like akin to those movies where you see they got to pick apart a bomb, and if you pull the yellow wire versus the blue wire versus the red, it's one of those, right? Like you pull the wrong wire and this could be a disaster, meaning you give up too much, you give up the wrong pieces, you do XYZ, it could be a disaster. He's coming here to play with the team that we have. That's why he's so into us. New York is the greatest city in the world, but you can accomplish all those things in the summer, right? During the break, you can come to New York and take over the market because you're from Greece, and New York is a melting pot, so every nationality and every culture is in New York, is in the city. So that's a big selling point. But you could do that in the summer. I like what they're doing over there. They got JB, they got Cat. Yeah, I like what they doing over there, man. Like it's real over there. And of course, you hear 19,000 screaming in a bun. You know what I mean? Like you see that. Of course, you see it and hear it. The problem is, how do you get him without decimating things? And I think the package would be, and this is me. This isn't me talking to nobody. This is just me being who I feel is an intelligent individual. I think the package is one of either McCall or OG, probably OG, which is why they gave him that crazy contract. And I'm an OG guy, but when they gave him that 215 and made him the highest paid Knick ever, it was to use later. It was like, you deserve it. We're going to give you this. We don't want to lose you because we gave up RJ and Quick for you. But it was also to be able to use later for something like this, right? Because now the numbers match. People keep saying Cat. It's not Cat. One, Cat and Leon are very close. Two, Cat is still CAA. It's not Cat. It's probably OG. And when you look at what Giannis and OG do, they're very similar. Giannis is Giannis. He's one of the top players to ever touch a basketball, and he'll continue to be that. But they do a lot of similar things, So it's not going to be Cat. You could tell everybody, yo, Cat. It's not going to be Cat. I promise you that. It'll be OG. The money adds up. The money's right. It's not as big of a blow as, we shook Julius and to get Cat, who's a perennial all-star and three-point champ. It's not going to be Cat. They can't trust Mitchell Robinson with his health. So who's going to play that 5 spot? They're not going to small ball it. It will be OG. It'll be OG, McBride, maybe Mitchell Robinson, and as many second-round picks as they can muster because they don't have any firsts. That's what it'll be. And it's going to be a take it or leave it. And that's a nice price to pay, but it's not the end of the world. JB is off limits. It won't be Hart in any way because him and JB is so close. It won't be Hart. Hart is staying.
Hart's
It
off
won't be McCall. It could be. If they said we'll take McCall over OG, I think they would do it. But it won't be McCall because you still need shooting. It'll be OG because they do very similar things, but Giannis does them way more enhanced. It'll be OG, Mitch. They're not going to want to add McBride, but they may be forced to because they don't have any firsts, and a bunch of second rounders. That's what the package will be.
It's hard because, like, you go, okay, you want to give up if the Bucks give up a star, that they want something in return that is of similar value and worth, which is why people are saying Cat. I've seen Cat and OG for Giannis and,
saying Kuzma.
And Kuzma, and so numbers wise, that makes sense. It makes sense for the Bucks to not be completely in rebuild mode because they just bought in big on Miles Turner in order to try and keep, Giannis there. And so either way, I feel like even if it's Giannis and Giannis and Kuzma for OG and Cat, I don't see the trade happening unless Cat demands, like the words.
Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis demands. Yeah, unless Giannis says
100%.
I need and want to go to New York. This is the only way. Like, I'm okay with this. That I'm not going to make a stink in the media. All this stuff.
Right.
But either way. So that being the case, I'll ask you, Apollo. Obviously, if it is low tier fruit, that they buy into, and it's like a ton of second round picks, and what he said, Miles, OG, McBride, maybe Kolick, whatever, and they take that for Giannis. Do you do it? Yes or no? But then also, if they come back and they say, nope, it has to be Cat and OG, do you still do the trade? What are your thoughts, Apollo?
If it's what you said at first, I think they absolutely pull that trigger.
Yeah.
Especially if it's the team up, Cat, Giannis, Josh, JB, like,
and
you know what I'm saying?
Cal, they doing that. They doing that.
They doing that. Like there's no second guessing that at all. Now when it comes to adding Cat in there, I feel like it's something that they would really have to consider because of what they just did to get him. You know what I'm saying? And what they did to build that team around him. Also, well, not around him, but with him, you know, especially getting McCall and giving up all those picks. So I'm not sure if they pull the trigger on that move this year. I think they test how much he really wants to be a Knick and wait for him to be a free agent. If that's what they have to do, I think that's what they should do. Because I don't think it makes sense to blow that up. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot to give up with OG and Cat. I thought about it a while back. I'm like, yeah, I'll be cool with it. But then I'm like, nah, that's too much.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Too much. That's way too much.
So here's my only pushback on that.
Mhm.
Like, I know the Bucks want to do good by Giannis, you know, but I also know the Bucks don't want to get nothing in return for Giannis, knowing that Giannis is not going to re-sign with them, you know? So it's you either let a generational player like Giannis walk away for free in the summer, or you go back on your word and you trade him to a team that he might not want to go to, but you're at least getting something back in return. I think that that's when it no longer becomes in his favor if it's not a trade, you know, like if it's not a trade this season, I don't think they just let him walk, you know, like that.
No,
I don't.
They're not letting him.
I meant in terms of coming when he's a free agent again, because that would mean that he would have to re-sign with that other team that he's traded to in order to not be a free agent at the end of that, you know, that.
Yeah, because I think he's up in 27.
27.
25, 26, and then next year is 26, 27. So it'll be summer 27 when he could do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I think he got 2 more years.
Yeah, but then we go trajectory wise. Like, does that even make sense for the Knicks anymore?
Exactly.
With
you do it
Brunson,
now.
championship
You do it
window.
now, it makes sense because I think he's 30. I think he'll be 31, which is insane. I think he'll be 31
this month,
like sometime next year or something. Or is it this month or
this month?
soon?
Yeah.
Okay.
December, yeah.
Okay, he'll be 31. You can get a good 5 years out of him. You can get a good 4 to 5 years out of him. And then after that, it becomes, whoa. So if you wait 2 years from now, he's 33. At that point, you're getting like a good 2 to 3 years out of him. You know what I mean? He's never really been injured, thank God, because he keeps his body in tip-top shape. But I think if you bust that move this season, you will get a good 4 to 5 years out of him. If you don't decimate the team so much, you will get a chip. You will get a chip. At that point, if the deal leaves us with JB, Hart, McCall, Giannis, and Cat, you're winning a chip. You're winning a chip in the first 2 years. You will have guys who are free agents that are bench guys who want to come here because it's there. It's like, they about to win. I'm going over there. You will have the pickings. You know what I mean? But it can't be OG and Cat. One, I think that money is too wild. They would have to throw in like a Kuzma or whatever. Like that. At that point, the money doesn't add up because Cat and Giannis match identical. I think they're like 54.1 million identical. So you could just swap them like football and be done with it. You know what I mean? But you know, now you're throwing in OG who makes 50 something mil. How do you equate that? So I don't think they do that at all. It's OG, man, because you know, again, and I like OG. I wanted him here with us, but when you look at who OG is as a player, what he provides you, what Cat does and provides you positionally, height, et cetera, it just makes too much sense to swap him and OG if you had to do it. It just makes way too much sense because they do very similar things, but Giannis is obviously out of here as far as those things. But they do the similar things, you know, so even positionally. So it's OG, without a doubt. It's OG.
So I'm going to show this real quick. Kind of found this interesting that all this Knicks Giannis talk is happening. And there's an Antetokounmpo Bros, their new clothing line, having
I heard about this,
in Brooklyn. just found that kind of interesting that right around the same time, this is stuff that they're doing as the
Yeah.
Antetokounmpo brothers.
This is him asking out. I know you said earlier he has to ask out. He doesn't want to ask out straight up because he's always been known as a media darling and a good guy and never gets in any trouble and all that. This would be the first pretend controversy because it's not really controversy, but it would be a pretend like, oh, now we
Yeah.
got something on him. He turned his back on the city. He doesn't really want to do that, but this is him asking out. Him asking out was coming to New York 24 hours later. Him asking out was him buying a house in New York a couple days ago over the weekend. Telling the team, hey man, we need to figure something out within the next 2 weeks. This is all him asking out. And this is him saying, I want it to be New York. I don't want to decimate the team because I obviously want to go there and play and try to do something. I really want to do that. And I think, honestly, bro, I'm going to push back a little bit on what you said earlier. I think they do right by him. I actually had the privilege of performing as a Knicks fan, performing at Pfizer Arena, Pfizer Stadium when they first opened a couple years ago. Shout out to my man Khalif Rainey, who's an alderman out there in Milwaukee, and they wanted me to come out, and he linked me with the Bucks, and it was wild. I was like, oh snap! The Bucks were following me on social media. I was like, oh snap! I didn't even realize, So like, they wanted me to come be one of the openers of the stadium. So I was one of the first performers at Pfizer Arena.
It's awesome.
And I say all that to say, first class organization, man. They so legit and cool and down to earth and do right. Business is business, but the fact that he bought them a chip, I think if he didn't bring them a chip, it would be different. The fact that he bought them a chip, they will retire at 34, regardless of where he goes. And I think they will do right by him. I don't think they'll be like, all right, well, just give us a second rounder and call it a day. Nah, but I think they will do right by him. I think if it was any other team, maybe not, but I think they'll do it.
I completely believe that they'll do right by him, in trying to find
as much as they can.
As much as they can, like if it comes to a point where like there is no, willingness to bend on New York's end or anything like that. What I'm saying is if their backs are up against the wall where it's, hey, we either still try to do right by you and bank rob our future, they're going to have to think like an organization,
of course,
absolutely. Like, of course
absolutely.
They like, because I look at it, they wanted to do right by Dame, and Dame didn't work out the way that,
right. And think about what each, and I love Dame, but think about what each one means to that city and organization. The stuff Giannis does for that community through the roof, the give backs, the charities, he's a prince there, man. He's a king there, so they'll do right by him as much as they can. It won't be, yo, man, just do whatever you want and we'll be happy with it. But a lot of people are like, nah, the Knicks don't have the picks, blah, blah. Very true. But if they can make the money work, they know they're in rebuild mode, without a doubt. They know they're in rebuild mode. Even with Miles Turner. If they could go back, they would be like, we wouldn't do that. Because they know they're in rebuild mode, without a doubt, man. There's no way around it, I don't even know who their point guard is. Like they're in rebuild mode, whether they want to or not. So, there's a few other teams that could do something. San Antonio, what they could do. I just don't see how the money adds up. People want to play fantasy. Yo, him and San Antonio would Wemby, it would destroy the league. It should be illegal if that happened, right? But how does the money add up? You would have to add De'Aaron Fox in there. How the money don't work,
and the young talent to pull it off, but I don't see Giannis selling out to the point of I'm gonna go and pull a Kevin Durant at Golden State, and just win the easy chip.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
I don't see the same caliber of player of him and Durant chip chasing. Like I think he's got
100%, man. And I also think too, like you saw the flyer with the Antetokounmpo brothers in Brooklyn. And I'm listening to these guys on Sirius XM, Isola and Scalabrini. These, we all know who Isola is and what he is. But he's a freaking clown. But he is going off about Brooklyn, and I'm like, wait a minute, because the brothers are doing the thing in Brooklyn, so he's looking at the Barclays. Are you nuts?
You act like
you just stay in
people
Milwaukee.
in Brooklyn.
Why would you leave Milwaukee to go to the Nets?
At that point, they pay you to be on the radio, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at that point, you would just stay in Milwaukee, B. Like, there is nobody there. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing, B? Like, There is
crazy.
nobody on the Nets.
I agree.
So the fact that they're doing this event in Brooklyn is the tea leaves that he's going to the net. Are you nuts? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
That
just wanted to
jump's
put that
crazy.
out there when you brought up the flyer. Because anytime I could air out Isola, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you nuts, bro? Like, what? Like, no, it's
That dude
because
is still
Brooklyn is the most popping and coolest part of New York City, but it's still about the Knicks when it comes to
yeah.
Giannis. He
Oh
ain't
yeah.
for all that, he would just go to Miami. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Facts.
what?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking
Like
about? So
he
yeah,
he would go there to like end his career pretty much. Like you think
right.
that he's gonna go so he can like buddy up with Michael Porter Jr. like for
Right.
the
Like
next
what are
5
we who they
years?
would have to put in the deal to make the money work?
Yeah.
So he's
Exactly.
gonna go play with Denim, whatever his name is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like the Denim
Yeah.
kid. Like what?
Nah, Asola
Shut up.
Asola
Like
to
you
me
know
is
what I mean?
Asola is one of those guys that honestly makes me go, I'm here on an independent network while
Right.
this guy's actually getting paid to do this.
That's what
Like
I'm saying. He's yeah, he's all kind of clown work.
I don't understand
Absolutely.
it.
I
But
listen
all
to
right,
that show
so
by default because there's nothing else on that early in the morning when I'm taking my son
yeah.
to school. But
So
anyway,
so for me, I think I do the trade either way. Either way. Because my whole thing, I like Cat. I've said that before. But my measuring stick to win a championship is OKC. And I think
yeah.
if I have to choose between Giannis and Cat, I'm going Giannis because
Yeah,
muscle
yeah.
to
I mean,
muscle,
yeah. I don't think
offensive.
yeah.
The fact that even OKC has to throw 2 or 3 of their great defenders to stop him because of how strong and powerful he can be to the basket. That frees up Jalen Brunson in so many ways. That
Yeah.
frees up Mikal Bridges in so many ways. So for me, I do it regardless. But the Kuzma thing doesn't really like strike me as something that I would want as much as thinking of something like even an AJ Green from their roster, who is a knockdown 3-point shooter. Because if we're losing, Cat from 3, we're going to need 3-point shooting. And I feel like AJ Green would fit that better than bringing in Kuzma, who's just going to ride the bench for us. So, in my opinion, I do the trade either way because I feel like Giannis gets us closer to contention for a chip against OKC over the next 5 years. But the last thing I want to talk about is something that came up today, and then we'll wrap up. This actually came from the opposite of Frank Sola, an actual credible source that I will listen to time and time again, as I know you will because he's been in your songs. So this came from Ian Begley, where
My
apparently,
guy Begley.
yes, sir, shout out to Begley. We all appreciate you in the Knicks community. But he said that the New York Knicks are interested if the Pelicans decide to move on from Jose Alvarado, as they've realized that they are a complete team that needs to rebuild. They are not going to win anything anytime soon. So there are talks of Jose Alvarado being on the move and the Knicks being interested. And it would look something like this, like a Pacome Dadier, Tyler Kolek to match the money kind of trade. Me, I'm a huge Kolek fan, and I love developing young guys, but Alvarado is proven to me, time and time again that he is a crafty defender, can help be an offensive spark off the bench. So that one's hard for me because
And he's
I
from New
really,
York too.
and he's from New
From
York.
Brooklyn.
Yep. So I
Yep,
see a
from
lot of
Brooklyn.
bring them home, posts. And so what I like about him is he's got that grittiness, like he's a small dude, but this is a guy that has not backed down from physical, altercations with bigger
Yeah.
players, has defended his players. And we don't really have a dog like that right now on the New York
Right.
Knicks. And so for me, that brings a whole level of intensity that we don't have. But it's also hard because I truly am Tyler Kolek. Like, I think that this kid is going to grow to be something incredible. So what are your thoughts on that, Apollo?
I mean, I think if we tie back to what we were talking about earlier, that kind of makes sense as that point of attack kind of guy if we're going to have to enter a Deuce into that kind of trade. You know what I'm saying? So I think that when you have a guy like Alvarado there, of course, it's who's going to get the most of those minutes between him and Deuce. I don't think you really bring that kind of guy there unless you don't know what you're gonna do with Deuce in a way. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what's the sense of bringing him. I mean, you can make him the third guard, but I don't think Alvarado.
Nah, yeah,
Nah, like that wouldn't
they
make
wouldn't
sense.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense. So I feel like if they make that trade, that's a little bit of a prequel to what might be happening with that Giannis trade.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
So,
So
like
if
right here, Coach
there you
said
go.
Jose is coming here to be the point of attack defender after dealing Deuce, who the Bucks
Facts.
yep,
have
makes a
shown
lot of sense.
interest.
Telling you,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I do that deal 100 times over. That's an awesome deal. I mean, I'm not a Dottier guy. You know, I think that was a mistake on the Knicks' part. I
Yep.
remember, no knock to him personally, I don't know him, but I remember draft night and everyone was assuming he was going to be a draft and stash. And he literally came out and said, no. I'm coming to New York. I'm playing. And he pushed that. You
Yeah,
know
he
what I mean?
did.
Like,
He did.
I
Yeah.
remember he pushed that. He was like, I'm not going back to France.
And
I'm
it's
coming
that
to play.
confidence that
I
made
want to
me
be in New
think he was
York.
so much more. Like I
Huh?
thought he was going to be so much more because of that confidence. Like I
Yeah,
thought he
it
had
was
something
just,
we
hey
didn't know.
man, y'all ain't gonna draft and stash me. I'm going to be in New York. I
Yeah.
remember him being on his page the next day on the gram and Times Square showing everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, he's running for mayor. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's running for mayor. Like he's selling. You know what I mean? He was like, they straight up asked him, and he said, I'm not going back home. I'm staying here. So I think he pushed that, and I think they said, all right, give the kid a shot because there probably was a lot of talk of him going back, like draft and stash, but I don't know who his agent is, but he pushed that. He was like, no. I say all that to say they should have said, no, we all right. You know, we haven't seen anything. Opportunity wise, of course, it's going to be tough when you're in a position to win now. This is the year. The last year, we was right there. The year before that, we was right. This is the year. There's no Tatum, there's no Dame, there's no Hallie, there's no excuses. This
Mm-hmm.
is the year. You know what I mean? This is the year to win it. Leon was brought here to bring out his phone book. He did it once with Cat. I'm sure they looking at him like, yo, you got to do it again somehow. This is the year, man. And you go all in with a guy like Giannis. This is where you get the money at because you cannot decimate this team and it's Giannis and JB versus the world. Like you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like if that's the case, just leave it alone. So I think, like you said, the Deuce thing is real. If they kept Deuce, I think it would, in their mind, yeah, you got a small backcourt coming off the bench, but it would be Deuce and Alvarado playing together at the 1 and 2. You know, Clarkson at the 3, Yabasule at the 4. You know, you would do something like that, but it is a great point that getting Alvarado probably is the insurance at half the price. Deuce makes like 13. Alvarado's making like 5. So what is that? Like 60 something percent, 65% less,
Yeah.
So and he's from the crib. He's from Brooklyn, so
Big
he's
time,
gonna
yeah.
want to show out. He's
Yeah.
gonna have his family in the stands 20, 30 deep. He's gonna want to show out every night. And yeah, he is the Garden. When you think about the way he plays, like you said, Phil, the grit, the craftiness, going after it, getting active, not being afraid. That's New York. That's
Mm-hmm.
Tim's in a hard hat, and let's get together and do what we got to do. That's New York. So
Yep.
I would love to see that. That price point is perfect. I like Kolek a lot too, but I think that price point is perfect. The money
Yep.
adds up. You're not losing much on the asset side, and you're gaining a lot. I think that makes a ton of sense. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. And Jack brings a good point. As good as Miles McBride has been this season, like his value is going to continue to rise.
Right.
And it's to that point where he is one of the best field 3-point shooters over the last like 8 games, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league.
Yeah.
You got to think he's getting to that Emmanuel Quickly point where he's going to want to start. And over the next 5 years, you're not going to have that opportunity next to Jalen Brunson. Like Jalen's not going anywhere. Like he is right now, he is our future.
He's not going nowhere at all. Period.
He's not going anywhere. So
I don't think there's anyone in the league, just because of who his people are in the sense of Leon Rose and all of them. I don't think there's anyone in the league currently that they would do it for outside of like Wemby.
Yeah.
And There is no reason for San Antonio to ever do that. They have no reason. JB ain't from San Antonio. There's no hometown hero thing. Like, I think that would be the only person they would consider. It's not even a Steph and LeBron thing because they're at the end of their careers.
Exactly.
So I say all that to say there is no one in the league right now. Not a KD because he's older. There's no one in the league Leon would trade JB for. I think he gets retired. I think his number goes in the stands. I think all those things happen later on.
Exactly. So Deuce is not going to have that opportunity, just like Quickly did not have that opportunity.
Exactly.
And so the thing about Jose Alvarado is he knows his role. He knows he's coming off the bench to be that spark, to be that grit, to be that hustle. And so there is no expectation to go somewhere.
When is it my turn?
When's my turn? Like, he knows that he's not getting his turn. Like, he just wants to win a chip. And so I think that for those reasons, it kind of makes sense. And like you said, this is our year. Like, and what people need to realize is, like, we right now, you mentioned the Tatums, you mentioned, you know, the fact that the Hallie's gone. But even when we're going up against Orlando, Mo's been out, you know, and Mo, before he got injured, was their greatest scorer off the bench. You know, he was putting starter numbers up, but they had too many starters for him to start, you know. So even Orlando is missing people, you know, so that are going to be there next year coming back healthy. So right now, where we have all of our guys as healthy as they can be, like, obviously there's 2, 3, 4 week stints where we've missed players. But health-wise, even with Mitchell Robinson, this is the healthiest this Knicks organization has been in years. Like, we either need to tap in now or realize that it's going to be a lot harder of a journey if we wait till next year or the year after to try and compete. Like, it has to be now, get us that chip, and then use that as leverage if we have to make changes in the future to stay in contention, because we want a chip and people want to come to New York. People want to win another chip with New York, you know? So I think now's the time. We got to go all in. And that's when I go, dang, I love Kolek. If we could trade somebody else with Pacome, you know, like, I'm good with it, you know, but if it has to be Kolek, let's get that chip. You know, that's what I want at the end of the day. I don't want to die as a Knicks fan without seeing something lifted in the rafters.
Facts.
So, all right. So we're getting ready to close out. Skyzoo, let people know what's going on in the pipeline. I appreciate all of you guys in the chat showing up. There's over 300 and something of you right now at 11:07 p.m. So I appreciate all of you rocking with us. And if you can, repost this, let your friends watch this on the replay, gang. But Skyzoo, where can people find you and what's coming up next?
Yeah, I'm everywhere, you know, active on social media. My Instagram is at Skyzoo the writer. My Twitter is at Skyzoo. Facebook, the real Skyzoo. So, you know, and I run all of those things. So if you reach out to me on any of those outlets and platforms, that's me hitting you back. You know, much love to everybody who's tapped in on the new project, Views of a Lifetime. It's been going crazy, man. Everyone is going crazy for it. Everyone's been showing nothing but love. It's been really, really great. And I appreciate it all. I'm honored and privileged to do this for a living and not have to do anything else if I don't want to, because the music has done so much for my family and I, and you know, it's just love, man. I'm here for us, I'm here for the people, you know, like I said, I love the apple culture over money, I put strangers over me, you know, and the sacrifice that artists, you know, do for this, you know, that we put in for this, you know, we do it for y'all in real life, but when y'all receive it and appreciate it, it's not taken lightly, you know, me for myself. I take that to heart. I take that serious. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate everybody tapping in. Keep running the numbers up, man. Views of a Lifetime everywhere right now. And yeah, man, much love to y'all, of course. The Knicks Nightcap, you know how we doing it. Much love to you, man. Let's keep it going.
Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Shout out to 15 stars once again for sending us those bottles and those samples to enjoy on the episode. You guys can check them out at 15stars.com. Shout out again to the Brooklyn Dreamer. If you guys can check them out, you know, like, for me, there's a lot of people that put out Knicks merchandise, but I want to highlight the independent person that is a diehard fan that is really trying to put on for their team and the fan base. So I put their link right there, the Brooklyn Dreamer. And Apollo, what do you think about this game coming up? We think we get that W versus Orlando?
I think we get the W, man. I think we get the W. Like you said before, just play the defense. Play defense the way we're supposed to. Stick to the plan. We gotta have Cat and Brunson. It can't just be the one-man show on any of these games, whether it's OKC, Orlando, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you everybody has to be rolling at the same time. Because Orlando kind of knows how to get under our skin. They really do. And sometimes a team doesn't have to be better than you, but they can have your number. And I want us to go out there and prove that they don't. You know what I mean? So I think we get that W tomorrow, especially because it feels like this team is starting to figure things out. And they won that last game versus them, so hopefully they learned something in that.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's a 5:30 game on Saturday, kind of early, which I'm kind of happy about, to be able to go to bed on a Saturday a little bit earlier than normal. I like that. And one thing I thought about while you were talking, man, if we had a Jose Alvarado, there would be no way Desmond Bane is walking away from an OG, dodgeball competition without at least, a little scrappy Jose Alvarado coming with the pushback. So,
he wouldn't have cared. He wouldn't have cared how big that dude is at all.
No,
he wouldn't have cared. No,
not at all. So shout out to Jose Alvarado, little scrappy Mighty Mouse that he is. We'll see if he becomes a New York Knick. Shout out once again to everybody in the chat. We appreciate you. Once again, like always, if you drink responsibly. And until next time, let's go Knicks, and God bless. Appreciate you guys. See you next week.
Peace.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down.